Boom, and we're live. There's a lot of rich people in the world, but there's not a lot of rich people living like you. So first of all, before we even get started, I salute you, sir. Because if I was a 16-year-old kid and I won the lottery, I'd be living exactly the way you live. Like if you asked a 16-year-old kid, hey man, if you had fucking $100 million, what would you do? Oh, dude, I just have bitches around me all the time. I'd be jet skiing. I'd be driving around in Ferraris and private jets. You're living like a life that doesn't even seem real. Does it seem real to you?
Now it seems normal, as crazy as that sounds. I've been doing it for a while, but that's actually kind of exactly what I did. I was, I think it started in maybe like 2011, 12. So I had a girlfriend for about 2 or 3 years, and she was like pretty happy. She was a playmate. She had like 100,000 followers, and she was going to move to LA to become famous and this and that. And we ended up breaking up. And I actually ended up getting a place in San Diego. Then I got a place in LA, and I started playing this, real big poker. And I mean, I beat one guy for like 54 million, and then, I beat another guy for like 10. And, so there's like, some pretty big.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, there's some pretty big, wins there. And I was single, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just kind of like do bucket list shit. Like whatever I wanted to do when I was a kid, I'm just going to fucking do it, and I just did. And I posted about it, and it was like, part of the posting was because I knew it would be able to get me some pussy without like actually speaking to girls, which was good. And then there was like another piece of it where it was kind of like a fuck you to her, right? And then, but it was like never like really to become famous, you know what I mean? It was just kind of like, I was just doing my thing, and we were getting pictures here and there. And then it kind of, fuck, it's, I sent you some of the stats. I think like a week ago, like, I reached 175 million people on just Instagram.
Yeah, it was insane. You sent me some measurement of all the different people that are looking at your stuff, and I'll read it because it's insane. Analytics. Yeah, like it doesn't even make sense. It's hundreds of millions of people here.
Well, see, and here's
161,304,941 impressions this week.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And that's just Instagram, like Facebook's the whole thing, another thing. And it's really underrepresented because, first of all, everybody else is buying all their followers and their likes and all their shit.
Right.
So theirs is like really inflated. And also, I got actually kind of like the opposite, because I got a lot of people that are looking at my shit. They can't really be seen looking at my shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's like some big producer, I won't say his name, but like, every time I post a girl, like they get hit up in the D. And this is like a big, like fucking done like $100 million movies and shit. And he's like hits them all up, So there's like a lot of these dudes that just stalk me out. Like this Paul Marciano, this fucking guy is like, every time I like post a chick, she's got a guest campaign now, So it's like, it's kind of funny,
Well, it's great for them too, then.
Well, but what I'm saying is like they're not actually like officially following me. Right. They didn't click that button, but they're watching my shit.
They're stalking you
it's
from
eyes
afar.
On target. Yeah.
Yeah. So they hit that search button, and you're at the top of the list always because they're always searching you. That's funny.
Seems like it. Yeah.
So how long has this been going on? When did you start making all these crazy posts, and when did this gambling rampage start?
Well, I've been a gambler for a long time, but I think kind of the craziness, I would say, started in 2012 probably. I just distinctly remember because I won like $11 million in a night, and my buddy who I'd just given like $2,000 to made me $1 million off it because he got second in the World Series of Poker. So I had like a $12 million week, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna take this dude down to like Puerto Vallarta with a bunch of chicks, and we're gonna have fun, and that was kind of like that was one of the big. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. I'd broken up with my girlfriend, and it was a buddy of mine, Nick Cassavetes, who he's like, he's pretty big. He did like The Notebook and Blow, and like big director or whatever. And I played poker with him a lot. And I just broken up with my girl, and I was like, hey, let's go down to Cabo. I'm gonna bring some chicks. And it was supposed to be me, him, and one other guy. And the other guy ended up bailing, but he had like committed, so he paid for his part of the trip. So it was me and Nick, and I think it was like, I want to say 17 chicks. And I remember I had sex 9 times in one day. I was like so proud of myself, right? I think by the end it was like dust was coming out, But it was like, it was funny because I didn't even want to have sex the 9th time, but it was just kind of like like a matter of principle. It's like if a billionaire is walking down the street and he sees $100 bill, he's just always gonna pick it up. You know what I mean? Well,
Right.
that was me. I didn't get a lot of pussy when I was younger, so it's like if a hot chick wanted to fuck me, like I didn't care if I wanted to bang her. It was just like out of obligation. So
17 girls.
yeah.
Now, do you pay these girls to come?
No.
No.
That's okay. So
That's the big misconception,
yeah, I'm
right?
addressing that on my app. I actually
You have an app.
yeah, I got an app coming out, and I'm just gonna basically, but you know what? I'll give it to you for free. You know,
Thank you.
So, I'm not opposed to paying for sex. You know, like I mean, I have in the past. Like I've fucked thousands of girls, so it's like and I've paid for maybe like 10 or 20, something like that. And it's not because I have any moral dilemma about it, and it's not because I think it's wrong. In fact, I think like sex for money is one of the most like pure interactions because the guy gets what he wants, the girl gets what she wants. There's no bullshit. I think like this whole like sugar daddy, sugar baby thing is the biggest fucked up part because then the guy's like pretending to like the girl. He's pretending he's not fucking other girls. The girl's pretending to like him. It's just like all this like convoluted bullshit.
Well, it is prostitution.
And it is. At the end of the day, like it is paying for sex, right? But they're not coming out and saying it. It's not like, hey, I want X and I'll give you Y. It's like
the guy from the Clippers with Donald Sterling and that girl. Come on, man. That's
they're
prostitution.
all doing it. It's
100%.
LA, bro. Like they all have like these 5 girlfriends. They're supporting them, and then the girls have other boyfriends. They don't tell and it's this whole fucked up thing. But like I said, for me, like I said, it's not a moral thing. It's not for me, it's not a monetary thing. Obviously, I'd much prefer to just give a girl money, fuck her, and be done. But for me, if the girl's not into me, then I'm just like kind of not into the sex. So that's the hang up for me. But no, I like
That's actually healthy.
yeah. I mean,
it is. I mean, people make these big judgments. They're going to make big judgments on you, first of all, because you're doing some stuff that's just like so far to the right end of the spectrum, it doesn't even make sense. Like, how the fuck is he pulling all this off? It's like, it seems unattainable. So they're going to make, well, this guy's wrong, and I would never do that. And they're saying a bunch of crazy shit because the way you're living is just so bizarre. But at the end of the day,
that's the thing. Like, people just like can't wrap their hands around the fact that like, because so many guys are paying right now, like people are tricking off in record numbers, like because of Instagram and all this stuff and the access that people have, like
tricking off meaning paying for sex
in like record numbers. Like it's
well, it should
unbelievable.
be, first of all, it should be legal. Just like getting a massage should be legal.
Yeah, 100%.
Nobody wants to rub your feet. Nobody wants to suck your dick.
But
you should be able to pay both of them.
It's the oldest profession, like since the history of time.
It is. Well, not only that, they taught chimpanzees the value of currency. They gave chimpanzees coins, and they gave them coins, and then every time the chimps would give the coins back to the people, they'd give them candy. You know what the chimps did? The first fucking thing they did, they gave the coins to female chimps and they fucked them.
That's amazing.
That's the first thing they did. And the researchers were like, Jesus, that is number one. The first thing they did.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I used to have a whole bit about it. It's nothing. There's nothing wrong with it. And like making pleasure a crime is ridiculous. There's no victim. No one's getting hurt. Think of all the shitty jobs that you can get paid to do. You can get paid to clean toilets. You can get paid to fucking insulate attics. There's a lot of terrible jobs.
How about you can get paid to mop up the cum on a fucking, on the floors of these like, jerk houses or the porn place or whatever. It's like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I have no issues with it.
No one should.
I think it should be legal.
It's a victimless crime.
Yeah, I just like I said, for me, it's the mental thing, and I just like I got I couldn't fuck all the girls if I had 5 dicks. So it's like what's what's the point? And I'm not like bragging.
No,
like I didn't used to. I'm just I'm just kicking you the real deal. It's like
I appreciate
would.
It. I said there's no victims. I guess there's victims of some prostitution, right? There's people that are abducted, and there's certain people that are like sex traffic. Like sex slaves, that's real. But we're not talking about that.
Yeah, but
we're talking about
that's exactly what you said though. That's sex slavery. That's not really like a girl saying, "Hey, I want X for Y." That's her saying, "Hey, you got to do this, or you're getting your ass beat." Kind of thing.
There's a way big difference between that and a lot of what you see in LA. As these girls, they want to wear the nice purses and have nice shoes, or they don't really want a job and they want to live in a nice apartment. but they don't want to work. How do I work this out?
And by the way, getting back to your last thing, if it was legal, there wouldn't be, the pimp saying, hey, you're going to do this, you're going to get your ass beat. It would all be regulated.
Just like drug dealers.
Yeah. And also then they'd be getting, tested and, there'd just be like a whole regulated system.
Exactly. I mean, as much as I hate pain pills and as much as I've lost friends to pain pills and oxys and all this different shit, there's no fucking wars being fought over it. There's not blood in the streets of Juarez, Mexico over pain pills. All that shit is over drugs that are illegal.
Yeah.
As soon as those drugs become legal, I think probably less people would use them and you'd get tax dollars from them. And at least there would be some sort of a solution in terms of like treatment and responsibility, and you'd be able to look at it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I just think there's too much money in kickbacks for that to happen. But I totally agree. I mean, I think alcohol is far worse for you than many drugs. And I mean, how many times have you seen people get into fights or shoot people or wreck their cars because they're high on high on weed? It never happens.
It never happens.
On alcohol, more people are dying from alcohol related deaths than they are firearms. But they want to ban the guns.
Yeah, there's a lot of real problems with that for sure. And, there's also these companies, like the company that makes fentanyl. Is that how you say it? Fentanyl? It's a super strong painkiller that's 10 times at least more powerful than Oxycontins. I believe that's what the number is. They're spending $500,000 just to keep marijuana illegal in Arizona because they've got it on the ballot to make it recreationally legal in the state of Arizona. And so they're putting out all these ads and they have this whole campaign to try to sway people. But they're just doing it for business. It has nothing to do with public safety or health. You see that fucking thing about Hillary Clinton? One of the WikiLeaks things that Hillary Clinton, the WikiLeaks released some paper where she was in communication with bankers, one of the emails, and she was saying that she was going to stop weed, that she was going to make sure that weed was not legal, that she was going to do her best and stand her ground and all this nonsense. Leak reveals Clinton promised bankers to stand against marijuana legalization. Like, what the fuck, Hillary?
She's pretty brutal.
Just what the fuck? I know you're bought and sold, but don't you have enough money, lady? How much money you need? Unless you're gambling with Dan Bilzerian, where the fuck's all your money going?
I mean, it's kind of funny because what do they pay these presidents? Like $250K a year? But they all
$400,000 a year, and they're all worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, or billionaires,
It's insane.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, like she was trying to say that once Bill got out of the office, he was dead broke. Well, you're not dead broke now, so how the fuck did you guys make all that money? They're worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah. And it's all from speaking arrangements and pay to play and weird fucking shady deals that they have with banks, and they do these speeches that nobody wants to fucking hear, and they pay them $250,000 an hour. It's all preposterous.
Yeah, I mean, the more money you have and the more you kind of rub shoulders with these people, you kind of get a look behind the curtain and you see that, it's just... I mean, politics, if you look up the definition of politics, I mean, it's like bullshitting, right?
Yeah.
That's like basically...
Well, that is being political, right? It's not being yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the opposite of what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of like an anti-politician in a lot of ways. But what I want to get at, though, is do you get hit up because you're so wealthy? Do you get hit up by people that are in the political spectrum that want to use your influence and how many fucking followers do you have?
It's 19 point something on Instagram, and it's 10.5 million on Facebook and Twitter, so whatever. But I mean, yeah,
that's insane. That's more than the whole UFC.
Yeah, the reach is crazy.
Yeah, look at that, 19.2 million followers. That's crazy, and it's all just pictures of you grabbing titties. Like, look at this one right here. This one's hilarious. It's like someone told you that you should post something more.
Well, my team is like, you got to clean this up, there's a big
I'm gonna be
money.
your new team. Fuck your team.
Exactly. Like, there's all this money out there. This The Rock, he got paid $17 million to endorse Ford. They're like, you can make all this money.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh. What do you do? They just drive a truck?
Yeah, basically drives a truck and does a Ford commercial.
17 million. It's probably worth it though for them. The Rock has like 67 million or some insane shit. But he's a goddamn movie star.
Yeah, no,
you're a dude who takes pictures with chicks.
That's the thing, like I feel like I got to be maybe like the most famous guy that never had like a TV show or like a real talent.
Oh, 100%. There's no one even close.
Well, it's kind of rare to be like number one in anything, so it's that's kind of cool.
You're the number one baller.
Well, I don't know about that.
From America? You're the number one baller. I'm giving you the crown right now. If I had a little Burger King crown, I'd put it on your head.
I could tell you some stories about some guys that got...
But they don't know who you are. They don't. Yeah. Nobody knows who they are. You're the number one public baller.
Yeah, okay.
For sure.
I'm the only guy that's kind of putting it out there. Because, most guys, they got a job, they got a wife, they got family, whatever. I just kind of just said, fuck all of it. Like they can accept me or not, and I'm just going to do what I want.
How old are you?
35.
Do you think that there's going to come a day when this is going to be tired? And if it does come a day, do you think you're ever going to go the marriage route? Is that possible at this point?
So look, I'm a gambler, but I don't want to bet half my net worth I'm going to love the girl forever. But it's that not to say that I wouldn't, have a girlfriend or I'm capable of being monogamous. It's just for me, it's more about options, really. Like at the end of the day, like it comes down to most guys are in relationships, I feel like, because it's either, hey, I'm going to jerk off on Saturday night, or I got to put up with her shit and I get laid, and it's like, and a lot of it's out of laziness, a lot of it's out of lack of options, whatever the case may be, but it's not correct. Like for me, I think a correct relationship is a guy that could be fucking, 5 or 10 girls, and he chooses to hang out with this one girl because he likes her, he likes hanging out with her, and she hangs out with him because she enjoys his company. And regardless of what the reason is, because a lot of people are like, oh, that girl's a gold digger, they want to hate on him. But at the end of the day, if a guy has made his money from, successful business and, being smart and he hasn't fucked it off, like, or he's a doctor or whatever, that to me is more of a part of who that guy is than a girl that's just born hot. So for a guy to like a girl just because she's hot, I feel like is like the most superficial thing of all time.
Well, I mean, she has to be nice, too. She can't, hopefully.
She does, but I'm saying a lot of guys are with a girl just because she's hot, and they don't really get as much shit as a girl that's with a guy because he's successful or because he has money.
It's true. It is true. It is true. Like the guy who earned that money, it's his character and his willpower and his discipline that's allowed him, his smarts has allowed him to earn that money, or he just got lucky as fuck.
There's definitely some lucky ones, but you also have to hold on to it. You know, once you got money, you got every asshole and their mother with their hand out, trying to scam you, and it's easy to fuck it off or make bad investments or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it is. It is a funny little situation there, isn't it? Because like it's also the way women are allowed to dress. Even like a respectable woman is allowed to have her tits pressed together and pushed up, and she's allowed to have a skirt that's just like a little light vagina curtain, And that's really all it is. And little panties underneath and smooth legs and high heels. The whole thing is sex.
Well,
it's just selling lust.
Let's talk about bathing suits. I mean, the fact that every bathing suit now is basically a thong, and the fact that like a bathing suit shows more than like the most revealing underwear back in the day ever used to, right?
Yeah.
But it's like completely socially acceptable. Then on Halloween they can wear even less than that.
They paint their
and
tits.
Okay, yeah, it's like literally butt naked.
They're allowed to wear paint.
Yeah.
When the fuck did paint become clothes? Imagine we put paint on our dick and went out. You get arrested, right?
Yeah.
Well, how come a girl can wear paint on her tits, but you can't wear paint on your dick? I want to know.
Yeah,
I want to know.
Well, it's a double standard.
It is a double standard. Nobody wants to see your dick painted up. That's why.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like American flag or something.
Yeah, I don't want to see a bunch of zebra dicks around either.
It is weird. There are weird double standards, but it's also people don't want to open their mouth because they don't want, first of all, they don't want anybody to think that they, like, why do women get to do this? And what are you complaining? Poor guy. You don't want to hear that. But it's also when men complain about the double standard in like marriage, like what you said, as far as it being a gamble, it's a terrible gamble for a wealthy man. It's terrible. Because like it's essentially a financial agreement. Yeah. It's not a love agreement.
Well, no, you're asking the government permission to be with a girl, and if you decide that you don't want to be with them, now you have to go ask the government, and then you have to get lawyers involved, and it's this whole process that, in my eyes, it makes both parties feel not both parties, because usually it's kind of like a magnet, like one is pushing a little bit further than the other, and it's so there's one kind of like always chasing or whatever. So for me, it just makes the party that's a little bit less invested just feel trapped. And when you're in a relationship and you feel trapped, the first thing you want to do is run, right? So you got this one person, that inevitably ends up feeling trapped, and the other person, kind of gets lazy or complacent. And I feel like it just snowballs. There's like a lot of momentum things, right? So if relationships just starts kind of going downhill and you're trapped in it because you're legally bound, I just feel like it's just going to get worse and worse. And the girl's going to stop giving the blowjobs and the guy's going to resent it. And then maybe he cheats. You know what I mean? It's like this whole cycle that just wouldn't happen if you were hanging out because you wanted to hang out. Because let's face it, if you're hanging out with a chick and you like her and she's cool, and then she just decides to just completely let herself go and she turns into a fat ass or she just like stops wanting to have sex with you, you're just going to fuck other girls, or you're just not going to hang out with her, right? But if you're married to her, you don't really have a choice. I mean, now you're kind of like, you got to ask the government permission and, this and that.
Yeah, you got to get lawyers involved. You live in the same place. You got to, it takes forever. You have to agree on terms, and you have to pay for her lawyer.
Yeah, I mean, how brutal is that? Like, you're like literally like trapped in the same house as the person. It's just like, fuck, man.
It can get crazy. It can get crazy, and I've seen it get crazy. I'm sure you have too. Yeah. When people get divorced, I mean, it is one of the most stressful things a person can go through in their life. And when you're working all day, and if she's not working, that's when it's really crazy. I had a buddy who was going through a divorce. His wife never worked. And he was working, 10, 12 hours a day, just busting his ass constantly at his own business. And she would be fucking off and doing whatever she wanted during the day. He had to pay for all that on top of paying for her lawyer. And her lawyer was trying to fuck him. And then he had to pay for his lawyer to battle her lawyer. And they all just dragged the whole thing out. It took over a year and a half for him to get divorced. So it's a year and a half, this poor bastard he's free now, but goddamn, but try to get him married now. He'll fucking shoot you in the face if you even bring up that word. It's like he went through it.
I mean, they have a term for it in gambling. It's negative free roll. It's where you can basically only lose. You have no upside. Like for instance, a negative free roll is like if I were to tell you, hey, if you can go bench press 300 pounds, I'll give you $10,000. Well, I just can't win anything. You know what I mean? Because if you can't do it, then I don't get anything. So it's kind of like, in my eyes, I just feel like it's a situation where you can just lose. It's kind of like my buddy, he got into a relationship and he just like dove in like super hardcore really fast. And I just told him, I said, look, like, I just feel like you don't have a lot of upside by doing that because, you can get hurt. And if you just take it slow, like worst case scenario, you just weren't quite as close for a month. But I said, if it doesn't work out, then now you invested, all this time and this effort. And it's like, and I feel like because he went so hardcore for this girl, it kind of like, sometimes it makes them run away a little bit because they know people, they just by nature want what they can't have, right? So if you just give it all to them immediately, then it's kind of like...
They're like, look at this bitch.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of like lose respect for you a little bit.
It can happen or it can be perfect. Relationships just have to be organic. That's what it really has to be. And as soon as you involve legal contracts, it's not organic anymore.
Exactly. Like once I feel like once it starts to be forced in any way, then...
Well, it's when there's no prenuptial, too. That's when things get really screwy. When you find out how much people actually have to pay.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about it on my podcast before, but I have another buddy who's paying his ex-wife for the rest of her life. They were married for 12 years. He has to pay her forever. Forever.
Yeah.
She's got a new boyfriend. He's married. He's got kids now with another woman.
That's the most brutal part is when they get the boyfriend and now you're like supporting this dude to bang your wife.
Not only that, the dude lives in his house, and every time they send a lawyer over to check, the guy packs up his stuff. It's like a joke. He throws it in a U-Haul. He drives around the corner, waits for the inspector to leave, goes all the way around, and brings his shit back. It's fucking insanity. Because, he's got this baller house in the Palisades he's living with this girl.
Yeah.
And the only way she gets screwed up is if she marries this guy. But this guy doesn't have any money. So she's never going to marry this guy. I mean, she would have to bank on marrying this guy. Would be worth, I think my buddy pays her somewhere around $500,000 a year. Oh. Forever, for life. So they were married for 12 years. They've been divorced for 15. So he's been paying her longer than they were married. Just want to just fucking jump off a bridge.
But that's, like I said, a negative free roll. I don't see the upside, right?
Well, it's so rare that it works out the other way. It's so rare that a woman has to pay a man. And it's one of those things where it's like men are being victimized left and right by this. And when you talk to people about it, they're always like, oh, you fucked up. Well, you shouldn't have done it. Well, you should have got a prenup. Well, okay, maybe. Maybe you could say all those things. Yes, maybe it was a mistake. But it was obviously a mistake under the whole spell of love. And to have this be a financial entanglement that can trap you, and this, I'm talking about my friend doesn't even have any kids. He didn't have any kids with this lady. So it's insanity. It's just a robbery. It's just a legalized robbery. And I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine who is married. He's like, well, I don't look at it that way. I go, look at it this way. The business of divorce, and it is a business. Whenever there's money involved in something, there's a bunch of people that try to figure out how to extract that money.
Yeah, the lawyers.
Yeah, the only money is in taking the money from the rich guy. That's where the money comes from. That's the only way you get the money. You don't get the money if the girl doesn't make much money. And everybody wins if the rich guy gets fucked. Yep. So if the legal battle for the divorce lasts 2 years as opposed to 2 minutes, everybody gets paid.
Yep.
Both lawyers on both sides make a substantial amount of money. The woman gets a substantial amount of money. The guy gets fucking drained like a vampire. And that's what happens, predominantly.
Yeah, which is usually the outcome of, a lot of times when a rich guy gets involved in anything is, he gets drained. And that's kind of goes back to my previous point of why I feel like women that are attracted to guys that are successful, it makes sense because there's just so many people trying to take that motherfucker down, when you're at the top of the hill, everybody wants to, get up there and, bring you down.
Well, it's just nature. I mean, it's just like a moose having a fucking giant set of antlers. All the other moose are like, oh, look at those antlers. It's a thing that exists in all different species.
Yep.
I mean, there's no denying that when a guy pulls up in a Rolls Royce and he flies in his own private jet and he does a bunch of things that nobody else can do, that people just go, oh. And women automatically, genetically get attracted to that guy for some strange reason. Mm-hmm. There's you. There you are, buddy. Balling out of control. How did you get all your money originally?
So that's another common misconception. And I didn't really talk about it or say anything about it just because it helped me out so much in poker. But everybody just thought that I was, a rich trust fund idiot. And then my parents gave me all my money. So that actually allowed me to get into a lot of these poker games.
Because they thought you were a fish.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing. It's not just that, but in poker, I've noticed that if a guy loses money to another guy and he knows that money is going to help that other guy out or his quality of life is going to be improved by that money, it really fucking irritates him.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm guilty of it too. If I lose $5 million to a billionaire, it doesn't bother me nearly as much as if I lose maybe a couple $100,000 to some guy that's like pretty broke and now he goes out and buys a new fucking car with my money and I'm just like, this fucking guy. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's weird.
I don't know why. And it's kind of counterintuitive, But another thing about it is like if you lose money to a guy that has a bunch, like you always think that, there's a chance you could win it back too. So there's that piece of it. If you lose money to a guy that doesn't really have much and he goes out and spends it, well, like you're never getting it back again.
That exists in pool. Like a lot of guys don't want to gamble with guys who only have one barrel.
Yeah,
like a guy will play a game of pool for $100, but he's only got $100. But you might have 10,000.
Exactly. So you look at your upside. It's like, okay, best case scenario, I walk away from this with this guy's last $100, which to me, some guys get off on that. To me, I don't really ever want to break a guy, right? But then you look at the downswing of that is like, okay, I could spend 10,000 trying to chase my initial $100 that I lost. So you have to take that. There's just a lot of things in gambling that you have to take into account, with the money management side.
Psychological things.
Yeah.
So how did you make your money then?
Playing poker.
You made it all playing poker?
Yeah.
Wow, that is insane.
It
so
is.
What did you do for a living before you played poker?
I mean, I was in the military for 4 years, and when I got out, got honorable discharge, and I was getting some disability money from the VA just because I got a lot of injuries when I was going through BUDS and not even just injuries, just all the medical checks that they do. They just document all the things that are wrong with you. So you get a percentage for all those things.
Like what kind of shit was wrong with you?
Fuck, I mean, first time I went in, I had bilateral stress fractures. So I was, I went into BUDS with broken legs. And so I was, eating a bunch of Motrin. It burned a hole in my stomach. I had acid reflux. They ended up getting so bad, they were actually going to kick me out of the Navy for it.
So you're going through BUDS with broken legs?
The first time I went in, yeah. Nobody knew that.
You just thought your legs were sore?
Well, no, I got medically dropped the first. So, I mean, it's kind of a long story, but I'll try and give you the cliff notes. So I went to boot camp, and the furthest I'd ever ran was like 2 miles. And it was straight out of high school because I got thrown in jail my senior year of high school, so I didn't graduate. I got a GED. And
see that, kids? You don't need a degree.
Yeah.
Just learn how to play poker.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that. So, end up joining the military, go through boot camp. In A school, I was trying to ramp up because I'm like, fuck, I'm going to SEAL training. I gotta start running. So I started running. I got an overuse injury, turned into a stress fracture. They basically put me on a medical hold. And my detailer said, look, you can stay on this medical hold till your legs are healed, and then I'm going to send you to a ship for 2 years, and then you can apply, or else you can get cleared and go straight to SEAL training. So I was like, okay, got cleared, went to SEAL training. They dropped me the first day. I had to request to talk to the captain. And finally the captain's like, okay, I'll let you try. Because I basically said, look, just give me a shot. I'm already here. Like, let me just train. What's the worst that can happen? I'm not going to die. I can, break the leg worse. So I said, if I make it through Hell Week, just give me a medical roll. He's like, yeah, sure, kid, go ahead. So the guy let me train. That was actually the first bet I made. My doctor, who was like a Vietnam SEAL, he was so fucking pissed that the CO allowed me to train. So he's like, I'll bet you $100 you don't make it through Hell Week. It was $100 or $20, I forget which. But I bet the guy, and I won the fucking money. And 3 weeks after, I was just, I could barely walk, So I ended up getting rolled, and then they kicked me out. And so I went to my ship, and the ship was like, the captain of the ship wanted to take me out to sea, even though I was supposed to be on crutches. So I was like, this motherfucker. So after going through like the hardest thing and then getting dropped, now I'm on a boat, and I'm supposed to be like healing up, and this guy wants to take me out at sea. So I go to Okinawa, and I requested to go in to see my wisdom teeth. And then when I was there, I was like, hey, check my legs. They're like, okay, we'll do a nuclear bone scan. So when I was supposed to go in they said, come back in 2 hours. So I went for a 2-hour run, and in just like my fucking, not even like my fatigues. It was like a work uniform. It was like a button-down shirt. I went for a 2-hour run, took a shower, came back, and they looked at my legs, and they're like, your legs are fucking destroyed. Like, I can't believe you can walk. I'm like, yeah, these motherfuckers, And so they were going to kick me out of the Navy. So that was the thing. I was going to get medically discharged from the Navy, and it took them so long that I actually requested to go back. And I'll never forget, because I went in to talk to the CO of it was like a limited duty security detail or whatever. And he goes, let me get this straight. He goes, you're about to be medically retired from the military. He goes, for broken legs, and you want me to approve a request for you to go to SEAL training. He goes, how fucking stupid are you? And I was just like, I didn't really know what to say. I was like, sir, this, that. It's just like, he's like, get the fuck out of my office. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, well, fuck. Like I'm like healed. I've been doing steroids. I feel great. I've been fucking working out. Like, it's been like 8 months, right? Like, I feel like I could go do this again. So I ended up pulling some strings, and basically I just had to get cleared. And then I had to pray that I got sent to BUD/S, because if not, I'd go to a ship, and then I had to, it was just like, it would be the biggest disaster of all time. So that was one of my biggest gambles, was doing that. I had like a free ride for the rest of my life, medically retired, like, I'm a disabled veteran, like, all this great shit. And I kind of like gave it up to go back. And I went into his office, and he goes, you might be the stupidest motherfucker I've ever seen. He goes, you just better hope that you don't end up back at this command. He goes, you're going to be cleaning fucking toilets until you get discharged. And so that was.
So how would they have paid you for life from broken legs? I mean, don't the legs heal up and then you're okay?
That's the thing, is like it had been basically since it was documented, because when I got out of boot camp and A school, I had them, and I had them all through BUD/S.
Where is it broken?
Bilateral tibial stress fracture. So my tibias. And then
that's the big one, right? The fibula is the smaller one. The shin,
yeah,
the tibia is the shin.
It was in the shins. I don't remember which, but I think it was the bigger one. And then so all through BUD/S, and then on the boat. So it was basically like I had broken legs for like a year and a half or a year and 7 months.
That's insane.
It was basically like they're like, okay, well, this guy's legs are just never gonna fucking heal, right? Like that was kind of like the military's take on it, was like, okay, well, he's been on limited duty, like this and that, like his legs should have healed by now, and they just aren't. So what are we gonna do with them?
So why wasn't it healing? I'm still confused.
Well, because I went through SEAL training, that kind of fucked him up
a little bit.
And then, I was on the boat, and I wasn't allowed to use crutches. And then I think obviously the final straw was probably me fucking going on a 2-hour run.
So did you do that on purpose?
Fuck yeah, I did it on purpose. Yeah.
Why? But what was the goal of fucking your
to
legs?
get the fuck off the ship? I was like, this captain was such a dickhead. It's like, bro, I went through all this fucking pain. You know what I mean? Like I went through, SEAL training. It's like, let my legs heal, you fucking cocksucker. Like the guy like wanted me to like stand watches on the boat. It was like kind of like, it's basically like a fuck you to him.
So you crushed your own legs to get off the boat and then tried to get into SEAL training.
Yeah, well, it took them so long. It took them so long to process me out of the military that they had healed. And so I was just like, well, fuck.
Wow. That's hilarious. So just from those broken legs, you could have been set up where you got a pension forever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And not only that, but like if you're like a disabled veteran, you get you're eligible for like a lot of shit. If you're like medically retired, it's kind of like, you went in the military and you tried to, be in there forever and like you just got injured. You know what I mean? So they like make a lot of allowances for people like that. Like I think they give you like your first loan in your house for free. There's like a whole bunch of shit.
Huh.
Yeah, I remember because I looked into it when I gave it all up.
So then what happens then?
Then I went back into BUDS or SEAL training or whatever. And I made it 2 days before graduation and I got rolled all the way back to the beginning. And then I did the whole fucking thing again. And
why'd you get rolled all the way back to the beginning?
So when I went through the second time, I kind of had the attitude of just like, fuck, I've already done this shit. And I just, also, I don't know. I mean, I was just in great shape and I wasn't worried about anything. So my attitude was like, okay, well, worst case scenario, I'm just going to get beat and I don't really care. So I just figured if I passed everything and I like performed well and I didn't quit, like they couldn't kick me out. So I kind of didn't really like kiss ass or anything. I was just like, whatever, like, and if I fucked up, it's like, okay, I'll get beat. Like, I was like pretty hard dude. I've been training for, like 2 years and I'd already been through Hell Week and now I'm like doing it without broken legs, like going through with broken legs. Now I'm like healed. I'm like, fuck, like nothing can be bad now. So it's like, worst that can happen. I'm gonna get hypothermia or I'm gonna have to do some push-ups, like whatever. And so I just didn't really have a good attitude, and I wasn't too worried about like the other guys in the class because I figured, would lose most of. I mean, start off with 239 guys, and we came through Hell Week with like 34. My first class, we started with 119, and we came through with 17. So you're gonna lose most of these guys. So I don't know. I mean, I wasn't much of a team player. I just want to graduate, So,
but how'd they kick you back then?
Well, so I got one safety violation for the instructor gave the wrong order. We're on the range and we're facing downrange, and he gave an about face and drop. So half the class just did what we were supposed. We did the about face and we dropped, but now we're like pointing downrange, right? So half the class got a safety violation for that. And then the second one was we were doing IADs, like these live fire drills, and half the class was behind the berm, the other half was doing it, and then we switched. And I was behind the berm, and my OIC.
What's a berm?
It's like a big mound of dirt.
Okay.
And my the officer in charge of my class, he didn't really like me, so he had me on watch every single night, and he put me on the middle watch. So out on the island, you get 6 hours of sleep max. If you like fall asleep when you get off, and then you wake up the second, and you don't clean any of your gear, you get 6 hours. So he put me on a watch in the middle. So I got maybe like an hour in the beginning, and then I just wake up for 2 hours for the watch, and then maybe if I could go back to bed, I'd get like an hour, maybe 2 hours of sleep. So I was running on real low sleep, and so I was behind the berm, and I just I fell asleep. It wasn't a big deal. Most guys did, but my boat crew leader didn't wake me up because he didn't like me. So now I'm technically sleeping during a live fire drill because they did a class muster, and I'm fucking sleeping. And so
guns are going off and you're sleeping?
Yeah. I mean, other guys did too. Yeah. I mean, we're sitting there because it's like 40 minutes or something. They're doing their shit and we're just laying there. We're not doing it. We're not supposed to be involved or, they could only have half the class on the range. So half is just sitting there and then the other half is doing it. And fuck, man. Like, I mean, dude, during Hell Week, I fell asleep standing up, So
wow.
It's like, yeah, you get tired enough, you fall asleep like no matter what. So
you came out of that.
So I got rolled all the way back. So basically they, put me in front of the thing and they're like, well, you got 2 safety violations, whatever. And I was just like, I was like, well, I didn't really even explain. I didn't even really like, at the time, you're like so brainwashed that these guys are like gods that you don't even really want to argue with them because they're your instructors. It's like, you can't even like have a conversation with these guys. Like if they ask you a question, like your answers are like, hoo-yah. Like you don't even say yes or no. It's just like so you're so like conditioned to not like argue that I didn't really like defend what happened, because if I would have like walked in there and like defended like look, like half the class, just given the explanation, but I didn't really want to like argue with these instructors because you're just like so brainwashed. Anyways, so I basically told them, I said, look, I don't care, I'll go do the whole fucking thing again. And they're like, oh yeah? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I'll do the whole fucking course again. So they rolled me all the way back and did the whole fucking thing again. And this instructor that didn't like me, he couldn't even find excuses the third time. He just admin dropped me. I didn't even know that was like a thing. I didn't even know you could get admin drop. But yeah, I just got admin.
So you made it all the way through and he admin dropped you? Do you think he stalks your Instagram page right now?
I don't know, but...
Think he remembers you?
Probably, yeah. I mean, he's probably heard of me now. I mean, the SEAL community is definitely, it's love or hate with me. Like, the guys that know me usually, have good things to say, and the guys that don't usually all talk shit. But
so you get out, and then what happens?
So I get out. I did my 4 years, got out, and I went to college, went to UF. And did 4 years there, and my brother.
That sounds like the military too. I did 4 years.
Yeah, paid my dues.
Prison.
Yeah, I mean, no, it was fun. I had a great time in college. My brother taught me how to play poker, like the first year, because I was getting all this money from the VA and the GI Bill, and I got grants. I was eligible for everything, right? So.
And that's where you learned how to play poker?
Yeah, my brother taught me, and then I was playing in college. I was playing like some online stuff. I had a couple of fraternity brothers that were real into it, and they taught me a little bit. And there's some home games, and yeah, that's how I started. I went broke my sophomore year, so it was just like it was a wild ride. I had to sell some guns. I went and played on a gambling boat for like a week and turned like this. I sold 3 guns for $750. Played on this gambling boat for a week, turned it into 10,000, went to Vegas, and then turned that into 187,000 at Bellagio after playing for 3 weeks straight. Never forget it.
Wow. So that was the launching point. 187,000 at the Bellagio.
3 weeks, yeah.
The Bellagio created Dan Bilzerian, essentially.
Yeah. They started it. Yeah.
So there you go, and you just become this crazy baller poker player character.
Well, I mean, it was a slow rise, I mean, it wasn't.
How long did it take?
Oh, I mean, that was 2005, and I got really lucky. I came into poker at a time when nobody really knew how to play. This fucking guy, Chris Moneymaker, he turned $25 into like a $2 or $3 million win, and he wasn't even that great. So it was like the new gold rush. Like everybody wanted to play poker. Rounders had just come out.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that fucking movie. I remember that.
It was that. Celebrities started playing, and it was just like it was one of those things where, and there wasn't really any like training tools. Like the game hadn't been solved. Like even the pros weren't that good back then. So
really,
yeah. I mean, it was just kind of like, I mean, back in the day, like the old pros, the way they won, they just cheated.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, there was this,
how'd they cheat?
Oh fuck! I mean, there's marked cards. There's cold decks. There's a million ways to cheat.
I've never played poker. I mean, I might have played once in high school or something like that. I've never played. But my friend Ari Shafir, when he was struggling in Hollywood, when he's a stand-up comedian, and when he was just starting out, he would make his money playing poker. He'd go to poker tournaments, and he made way more money playing poker than he ever did doing stand-up.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I'll tell you the story of how I dropped out of college. Can I piss real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. No worries, man.
1 sec.
Go ahead. We're right here.
Sorry, I drank a bunch of water.
I just want to point out Dan Bilzerian and I wear the same pants. Both wearing camo pants. I think he deserves them more than me, though. He went to Hell Week. I've just hidden from animals
3 times.
Yeah, but my pants are they're fake. I mean, I just bought them on Amazon. They're not like real camo either. It's not like Kuyu or First Light or anything. What a fucking character, though, huh? That's crazy shit, right?
Shit.
Like a lot of people hate on that dude. I've met him a couple of times, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this with him. He seems like a super nice guy, but every time I've talked to people about him, there's like, fuck that guy, fuck that guy, fuck that guy.
Easy to hate. There's a lot to easy to be.
Of course. I mean, he's like I mean, the fact he's not paying those girls, I find that suspicious. Do you find that suspicious? You don't?
Not really. I mean,
Why are they there then?
because they can get.
They don't have shit to do? Don't they have jobs?
Nah, they're hot. Chicks.
Probably he loans them money.
Nah, maybe.
Maybe let's leave some cash around.
Could be the
Doesn't look-
manager. They're getting good gigs out of it. You know.
I'm sure they're getting good gigs out of it. I mean, look, what the fuck's that guy's name? Corey Feldman? He's got Feldman's Angels or whatever the fuck that is. Right?
Hugh Hefner had the Hef's chicks. They had
Yeah.
their own show for a while.
Well, he had to pay those girls. We're talking about Hefner.
Yeah, they're all playmates.
See, but that was sad to me. That was more sad to me.
What's that?
The Hefner thing. Like, I could see chicks want to bang you. Handsome guy, thick beard, built. You know, military man, got a lot of guns. That makes sense. The Hefner thing was always like, oh, those poor girls. 'Cause I have daughters, and I would think about some poor girl banging Hugh Hefner and just going, oh.
Yeah, but it's not just him. It's kind of like all these fashion guys.
Fashion guys?
Yeah, like I mean, there's Paul Marciano. I mean, he bangs every chick that's in Guess. You know,
I don't.
all
Oh,
these guys.
okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of. I mean, they set it up, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, my whole thing is kind of like life setup, right? So you like set up your life to where you don't really have to work for what you want, you know.
Right.
Like, so, pussy, for instance, like if you set it up correctly, like I mean, if you buy a big brand or a modeling agency or whatever it is, and you're providing these girls with a career, like for instance, let's use Hugh Hefner. So if you become a playmate, you're guaranteed $25,000. I mean, this is back in the day, right?
Right.
This is like 10 years ago when Playboy was hot or whatever, or 20, whatever.
Whatever it was.
So now they're getting $1,000 for appearance. Before they were getting whatever, but now they won't. You can't even show up for less than $1,000. So you're guaranteed more money there. Now you have a title. As far as modeling, like you're just going to book higher end jobs. There's the Playboy events. So it's kind of like, it's like you fuck this guy, you become a playmate, and now you like have a career.
Oh, I get it. It makes sense.
And
I mean, it makes sense. But the factor that's missing is the fact that you were talking about before. Like, you're not really into fucking girls that aren't into you. You know? Like,
Well,
that's completely out of the question.
Yeah.
When you're a skeleton.
Yeah. When you're a skeleton, yeah, but I mean, when you're a skeleton, like, what do you got to do?
You're balling. You just take Molly and fucking throw down those Viagras and get the party started. Who gives a shit? Throw that money out. You can't spend it when you're dead.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
when I'm 70, I'm probably going to be less picky, So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I mean, like I said, it's. Yeah, I mean, it's.
You go for a hot 50-year-old.
But who knows? Some of those girls might be into it because he's iconic and
for
it's
sure.
like a celebrity thing.
Yeah.
Like, celebrity is another crazy thing. I mean, I've said it to my buddy. I'm like, money maybe brings 5 or 10x girls. Like, if you use it, and I'm not talking about using it in the sense of just paying them. I'm saying like set up your life to where like you have a nice life and there's cool shit going on, parties, whatever. And then the fame, I think it's like 100x. I think it's like 100 times.
Well, for you, it's very interesting because you're a guy that's just come into this just a few years ago, 4 years ago. So you were already a man in his 30s and all this happened, and then boom, you become famous. So you've got a good perspective on it. No. I think for people looking at it on the outside, like, I don't think any of us could understand what it'd be like to be Drake. I've heard that Drake has parties at his house. I know a dude who lives near Drake, and he complains about the fucking parties. And I guess parties are so crazy that the neighbor complains, so Drake bought his house. Drake's like, fuck it, I'll just buy your house, man.
Yeah.
He has girls, they meet at one place, then they get in a bus, and then the bus comes to Drake's house.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's got it. Yeah, he's definitely has it on another level.
He's super balling. He's
sure.
super balling,
Yeah.
Me, I'm fucking saddled down. I'm married. I got kids. I got daughters too, dude. I see all this stuff. I have to watch from afar and go, wow, look at this action. Look at all this craziness happening. Look at this wild life. Just a completely different kind of life. But to be a guy like you, it's very interesting because not only are you famous, you're famous in a really confusing way. Mm-hmm. You're famous just for being a baller. Like 100%. Like,
that's kind of crazy, right?
You didn't write a book. You're not in any movies. You don't sing any songs. You're not telling jokes. You're just balling out of control. You're balling so hard that you've become famous. You're way more famous than me. I mean, what did you say you have? How many Instagram followers you got? What is it?
It's like 19.
19?
I think the total is like 30 something.
I have one.
Yeah.
I have 1.5 on Instagram. I have 2 on Twitter. I've been on TV for 20 fucking years.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. It's an interesting kind of fame. It's a very different kind of fame.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when it kind of hit me because I was in Cannes and I was over there, and this is France. I mean, they don't even speak English a lot of these places, and I mean, I think I fucked 16 girls in 12 days, and I remember because I fucked a girl without talking to her, and that was when I knew I made it. Yeah, because she didn't speak English, and I also I just kind of wanted to just see if I could do it. I just wanted to see if I could actually have sex with a girl without speaking to her at all. It was kind of awkward because there was times when I wanted to say something or there was a question asked or whatever, or it was in the middle of sex. Normally I'll say, talk dirty or something, but I made a point to be a fucking mute, right? And I actually pulled it off, and I was like, wow, this shit is real, and
wow.
And the time that I really saw it, was I was in Canada, it was before the no talking thing. I was at some restaurant, and Ron Perlman's manager came over to me, and
Ron Perlman, the actor.
Yeah.
What's he in? Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, Hellboy. And,
Hellboy. Okay.
He's done some real shit. He's like a real dude.
Yeah.
So he come over and he's telling me about this new movie that he wants to do, and there's there's a dad and there's a son, or a grandfather, son, and a dad, and they're all they were all in the military in different wars, and he was talking to me about maybe playing the son, and we're having and I was interested in it. Because I'd done a little bit of acting up until then, and so I was kind of trying to check it out. And so I remember it was every 30 seconds or minute somebody would come up and ask me for a picture. And after the 20th person, somebody came up and was like, "Oh, Ron, I'd love a picture with you." And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. He stood up and he goes, "Oh, you want a picture with me? Who the fuck am I? You sure you don't want a picture with this guy?" And he was kidding. But I was just wow, this is so fucking crazy. Now here's a guy that's a super successful actor who's been in big TV series. And all these people are asking to take a picture with me. And I was just wow, this is so fucked. But it was real. I was just wow, this is a real thing. This isn't just numbers on the internet. This is I'm in a foreign country and I got all these fucking people coming up, I was kind of I was dumbfounded.
Have you ever read that Thoreau quote, "Most men live lives of quiet desperation"?
Yeah, I actually quoted that on one of my pictures.
Oh, it's a great quote.
The mass of men, or something along the lines of the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah, something along those lines. That quote, I love that quote.
He's got a lot of great ones.
He's a brilliant guy. But that quote is one of the reasons why I think your Instagram and everything is so popular, is because there's a lot of people out there that are stuck in cubicles or they're stuck in jobs that they don't want to be there. They don't want to be doing what they're doing. They're looking at their resources. It's so small. They're tired all the time. They get done from work. They don't have any energy to do anything else. They're saddled down with some relationship. It's probably not optimal. They're getting yelled at. They're fucking. It's not going well. It's not going well. There's not a lot of joy. Yeah. And then they go on your Instagram and you're fucking jet skiing and late meat and it's all the shooting guns and your underwear. And it looks so fun, and.
Yeah, and I try and be authentic. Another one of his quotes, rather than love, rather than fame, rather than money, give me truth. And I like that.
You can have all those, though. Look, you got it all. You got truth, you got fame, you got
truth
love,
is the
you got
rare
money.
one. That's the rare one in LA.
Well, it is rare because it's difficult to pull off because most people are not really comfortable with who they are. So instead of fixing that, they just kind of pretend. And look, that's what politics is. Yeah. That's what a business is. When you put that fucking stupid tie on and you got those slippery shoes with the tassels on them, and pretending that you really talk like that.
Yeah.
And you're talking about dividends and making it. And we can make this work. And let's touch base on Monday. And hey, great to talk to you. And shut the fuck up. It's all
political correctness, the fucking pleasantries, just the bullshit. That's what I wanted to just kind of get rid of.
Well, I had a conversation with someone about, people that have a lot of money and ballers, and someone goes, oh, that seems like such an empty life. And I don't know if we were talking about you specifically, but you're like a perfect example of it. I'm like, but here's my point. I'm defending you. I'm like, what's empty about it? Looks like he's having fun. Like, what's so great about showing up to an insurance company every day and putting in your work? Like, look, it's very admirable to provide for your family. It's very admirable to put in hard work when you don't want to and get it done. But there's nothing wrong with figuring out a way to not do that either. Just because you got stuck in some sort of a weird situation where you have to fucking grind it out at some lumberyard every day doesn't mean that a guy like you who's just got some crazy life that he's living where he figured out a way to make a bunch of money gambling poker, playing card games, like it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I look at all your shit, I don't see any victims. I don't see anything wrong. I see you having a bunch of fun, and I see a bunch of girls that are laughing. They seem to be having a bunch of fun. You're flying to Italy. You're doing all this crazy shit. I don't see anything wrong. But yet people get mad and people hate. And when I have conversations with people, I'm like, what is shallow about all these experiences? Like, what is so awful?
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of girls have really benefited. I've like built some careers. Like, Lindsay Pellis, when I started dating her, she had 100,000 followers. She bumped up to 1.6 million in 3 weeks. And now this chick's making $400,000 or $500,000 a year posting pictures on Instagram and Snapchat. I mean, just think about that for a second. Like, she's making 4 times as much as a doctor or a lawyer when they get out of college. And forget about all their debt that they have. Let's just say they come out of college with no debt. She's still making 5 times more money than them at 4 years younger.
Also the amount of fucking time they have to spend if you're a doctor or a lawyer, not just going through medical school, not just going through your residency, but working, constantly working.
And she's got to post a couple pictures. Yeah, sit on her couch, post a few pictures.
Suck her fingers.
Here's my tea,
Her ass up in the air, high heels. Woo! It's a beautiful world. The world of social media is a fascinating world, man. Because, like, speaking for me personally as a comedian, before social media, I used to have to do so much work. I used to have to get up early in the morning and do radio shows before gigs. I used to have to do morning TV. You'd have to do interviews with... I'd do an interview with some newspaper reporter. That guy did not want to fucking talk to me and give a shit about me. And I'd try to have fun with it, and maybe he would try to have fun with it. But for the most part, it was nonsense. Yeah. You don't have to do any of that anymore. Social media has changed. It's
access. It's just pure, access. And it's actually fucked it up, honestly, for a lot of these girls now because... they don't want to go to the clubs. Like, they don't need to go to parties to meet celebrities anymore. They could just DM them. Like, and then you have all these, rich guys that are just having their, their pussy coordinator, message all these girls.
They have a coordinator? Oh, who has a pussy coordinator?
It's so crazy, bro. You have no idea. Like, now these girls are getting booked out. They're getting paid, $5,000, $10,000 to just go on a vacation. Some of them don't even have to sleep with any of the guys. I mean, it's just like...
That seems like you would never get anything done.
Yeah, I mean, and from these girls' point of view, you can't really blame them. I mean, it's like, fuck, if I was one of these girls and I could travel the world on a private jet and do all this other, crazy shit for free, and it's just, I mean, I
wouldn't blame him at all. I don't blame him at all. As long as, nothing awful's happening.
Yeah.
I used to know this guy. We used to call him Wild Man. A buddy of mine used to work at a strip club. He was a DJ at a strip club. And there was a guy there that apparently invented bell bottoms. This is a crazy story. And he had lung cancer. He smoked cigarettes like packs and packs a day. And emphysema. And his doctor was telling him, listen, man, you are going to fucking die. If you don't stop smoking cigarettes, you're going to fucking die. And he's like, I'm just addicted to smoking. He was like, smoke joints. He's like, they've shown in studies that smoking marijuana is not nearly as bad for you. And actually, it might act as an expectorant. It might help clean your lungs out, even though it sounds contrary to logical thinking. Just give it a try. So this guy starts smoking weed like he would smoke cigarettes. He's just rolling joints, smoking. He would smoke like 15, 20 joints a day. And he would, when he pulled up to the strip club, he would give these guys like his roaches, because his roaches were like half done, because he would smoke them like he would smoke cigarettes. The guy changes his entire, he gets so high, and he's so high all the time, that he's like, I don't want to do any of these things that I'm doing anymore. He goes, this is what I'm going to do. I want to play guitar, and I want to bang chicks. And that's what he decides to do. He realizes he's like 60 years old and he's worth some shit ton of money. And this was like right around when Viagra was invented. So this guy goes on a rampage, and he's mean. He's like really nasty, and he did what he would call mad dogging these chicks. So he'd bring them back to his house, and he would say nasty shit to them and hit them and piss on them and all kinds of crazy shit, apparently. I don't know the full details of it. But his house was for sale, and he had this baller house in the Hollywood Hills. And for a while I was thinking, because I go to the Comedy Store all the time, I'm like, man, maybe I should buy this fucking house. It's close to the Comedy Store, but I'm like, God, it's like this $5 million house. It's right on the street. It's right there. Like like the sidewalk, and then here's his door. Like you just touch his door. I'm like, someone's gonna fucking break into this guy's house. And so the realtor is like, no, listen, there's the state-of-the-art security system in this place. It's got all these cameras. I go, yeah, you know what that camera's gonna get? It's gonna get a picture of a dude with a ski mask robbing your fucking house. Yeah. Like, do you understand that? Like, what is a camera gonna do? Like, how's it 2 weeks after I said that, the dude got shot in the neck in the fucking house.
Wow.
He used to bring the hookers to his house. He used to bring him to his house, and he brought one to his house, and she brought her boyfriend, and they shot him in the neck.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of setup stuff like that.
Yeah. But so, see, that's a bad guy. That was a guy doing bad shit. I don't see anything wrong with anything you're doing. I see happiness. I look at your Instagram, I see a bunch of people laughing. I like the music you're playing. No. You're playing good songs that I would listen to. It looks like a fucking party.
Oh.
Nothing wrong here, people.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to relax.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, doing some wish fulfillment.
Now, do you have a plan charted out for this existence, or are you just winging it?
Well, I got this app coming out where it's going to be kind of similar to like what WorldStar does, where you can, users can upload, their badass videos, right? So anything kind of like, similar to the stuff that I post, or, fights or whatever crazy cool videos that they want, they can post on there. And, I'll just share the best ones on my, Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So they're, if they post cool shit on there, they're guaranteed to get, a
views.
ton of shine. Yeah. And that's why they post on WorldStar, it's because they want, people to see it. So, I'm going to do that. I got this fantasy betting app that I got. It's like similar to the DraftKings of the fantasy sports stuff. I don't know, just, I've been focusing more on, doing some stuff like that. I've kind of just done everything I wanted to do, in this, as far as like the partying and buying shit,
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why I was asking. I'm like, well, how much more can you do?
Yeah, I mean, I've checked most of the boxes, man. So now I kind of just want to, give people a platform to.
How much money have you made playing poker?
I don't know. I mean,
if you had a guess, in the neighborhood.
I mean, I know. I mean, I just know the big figures. I mean, I beat one guy for 54 million. I mean, I won 10.5 in another night. I beat another guy for 10. And then, I don't know what the total is on the, other cash games, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I made a lot.
But do you have enough stashed away where
that was just in, a 6 month or a year period, so it's like, I don't know.
Did you take a chunk and put it away and say, okay, this is my break glass in case of apocalypse fund?
I mean, I've bought some gold and, and I got, I own my stuff. I own my plane and my house and my cars and cash in the bank. I'm doing all right.
Yeah, but I mean, first of all, that's crazy, right? It's crazy that you went from being a Navy SEAL to being a college student who's learning how to play cards.
Navy SEALs.
Well, preparing or trying to attempt to be a Navy SEAL, going to college and learning how to play cards, to a guy who's got his own fucking jet. No. A guy, I mean, and all from gambling. I mean, that's bizarre in and of itself. But do you ever think like there's a time where I'm not going to want to do this anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of at the point, like I said, where I've done most of the stuff that I wanted to do. So now I'm kind of winging it. I've been doing more active stuff. I've been doing like some wake surfing, and we just went out to Lake Powell, and winter's coming up, so I'm doing some snowboarding trips, snowmobiling, and shit like that. So
it's still just more fun.
Yeah, just having fun, but doing like more active stuff, less partying. Still have the girls around, but Yeah, I mean, I did a cartoon. It's I'm about to release that.
Wait a minute, didn't you have 2 heart attacks in like one night or something?
That's actually one of the cartoon episodes.
What the fuck happened? How did you have 2 heart attacks?
You want to watch the cartoon?
Do you have the cartoon?
I do.
Can we watch it?
Yeah.
Throw the cartoon up. How do I get to it? Tell Jamie. Give
can I
Jamie the
airdrop
address. Yeah, I'm sure you could drop it to Jamie. Or do you have it on your phone? Is that what it is? It's not online anymore.
I got it on my phone.
Oh, can you airdrop it to you, Jamie? Does that work?
I can't airdrop it, but I could AirPlay it if you got an Apple TV.
Yeah, we have an Apple TV, but we can't play it online.
That'd just be us watching it in here. We couldn't hear it or anything.
I can't put it on that.
You can, but I don't have that. That's not in this current system here. It's not built into this to display.
Let me see.
Can we fix that? Can we make that happen, or is that
we can in the future? Yeah.
okay? But we need a different setup or something.
I need some extra inputs. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to do that another time.
Okay, we'll do it another time.
You want me to call my guy and see if I can get you a link? You want to give me 1 second?
Yeah. Go ahead. Call your guy.
All right, give me a second.
Dan Bilzerian will be right back, ladies and gentlemen. He's gonna call his guy, not to be confused with his pussy coordinator. Yeah. He doesn't have one of those.
I'm looking.
You're looking for a pussy coordinator? I know some dudes. What a crazy life. It's bizarre, right? I just, people will tell you, that's going to get tired. But guess what? So is being married to a lot of people. Not to me, Jamie. So is working in a regular job. That's got to be tired too. I love the fact that this is a real thing. That all of a sudden, because of social media, some guy can gather up 50 fucking million followers.
It's also become, I don't know how to word this right, but like, you know how people start calling the Michael Jordan, you'd be the Michael Jordan of this because you're the greatest of whatever. He's starting to become, people are calling so-and-so the Dan Bilzerian of X.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he's become so known.
There's that Italian guy.
Yeah, that
Giovanni Vacci.
Yeah.
That old guy is my age. Isn't that sad? God damn, I'm old, bro. Sad. Every now and then I wake up and I got some new pain, and I just think, is this pain like forever? Is this gonna heal? Like, I got this hip thing that's going on lately, and it's not bad. Like, I did kickboxing today, and no problem, and no pain while I'm working out. But every now and then it like irritates me, and instead of it like when I was young, if I had something that irritated me, I would say, some fucking nothing, I'll get over that. But that's also why I developed a bunch of chronic injuries from jiu-jitsu, because I would go and train even though I had something fucked up. It's also because jiu-jitsu is really fun. But I don't think like that anymore, man. Now I think, is this like broken? Like, is this, am I going to need a hip replacement? Like, I know guys that are my age that have I know guys younger than me that have had hip replacements. I start thinking, like, is this shit broken forever? You got your guy?
I talked to him. He's telling me I can't show it.
You can't show it.
He's telling
Who the fuck is that guy?
Saying,
you got a guy that tells you what to do?
No,
I'm telling
he's
you,
saying he
fire
can't.
your team, dude. I'm available. I work for free.
I pretty much fire them all. I don't
Fire
listen.
them all,
I don't
dude.
listen to anything they say.
Fire them all. I have a team too. I don't listen to them either. Nobody should listen to teams.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
I mean, I obviously don't know shit about poker. I don't know nothing about your business. I'm not a gambler, but I can advise you.
Fire the whole team.
Fire everybody.
Fuck 'em.
Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Listen to me, dude. I'm telling you, I'm right. I have no experience in your business. I'm totally unqualified, but I will give you some sound advice. Yeah. You know that Italian guy that people keep comparing to you? That guy who dances around a lot?
Oh, I've seen him. Yeah. Did he have some health issue? What's going on with him?
Really?
I don't know. I thought so, but I don't know. So that was the last I'd heard.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
What's his name? Giovanni Vacci or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, I became aware of him because there's a hilarious video of him and his girlfriend dancing.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
A really good
The guy
dancer,
he's
right?
a fucking great dancer.
Fuck yeah. But this thing, here's the thing, man. Everybody's like, I saw this thing like something about sugar daddy, and like, 'cause she's young and hot and he's got gray hair.
Yeah.
That motherfucker's my age. Like, that's how old I am, dude. 49. The end is near. The end is near, Jamie. There he is.
Yeah, no, he looks
dude's
like a
in great
stud,
shape,
right?
Yeah, well, it's just the hair. I mean, if he had black hair, he would look.
It looked younger, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, he just has I have a buddy of mine who's 30. His hair's almost all white. I mean, it's just some dudes have premature hair, and he's got a banging girlfriend, but he's got one.
Yeah.
See, you can't call him the Dan Bilzerian of Italy. I mean, he's obviously a baller.
He's living good, you know?
He's balling. He's got one girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's happy. He looks very happy. She looks very happy. Everybody looks happy.
I feel like he's doing a lot of stuff for Instagram. Like he's posted a lot.
He's trying to get on that damn Bilzerian level.
I think he.
What's he at? What level's he at? 5 million?
How many?
Okay,
but look
that's
at how
a
many,
giant jump.
He's done twice as many posts as I've done in the last 5 years, and he's done it in I think like 6 months.
Yeah, very quickly.
So he's posting a lot.
Well, not only that, his shit became really popular like really recently.
Yeah.
Like I want to say when I became aware of him, he only had 2 million followers.
But like if you look at his stuff though, it kind of looks like, it's like a lot of photo shoots, right? Like
exactly.
kind of looks like a lot of staged.
Yeah.
Like,
Look, I found a goat.
Yeah.
Look, it's me with the goat. Yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot of money. Look at that. Come on, son.
Like that doesn't just accidentally happen, right?
Yeah, you don't just accidentally get photographed on a horse with no shirt on.
With white pants.
And with prison tattoos. What's with all the prison tattoos? He's got like a bunch of writing on his chest.
Yeah.
What does that all say? Do we know what his tattoos say? There must be like a website dedicated to his chest tattoos. Look, he's there with Pitbull. Look, there he is.
Yeah.
Come on, he's so happy.
No, I mean he looks like a cool cat.
He does. I don't like what he's doing with his beard though.
Yeah,
He's
I
got
don't
that
know.
little thing that he puts
what
at the
that
bottom of his beard. He twists it up and puts like a little rubber band around it. Get the fuck out of
I
here.
don't know what the fuck that is.
I will pull that thing off. I see you, sir. I'm going to grab that thing. That's a goddamn handle. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
He's a fun cat though. His videos are really fun.
No, the fucking guy can dance.
Woo!
All hats off to him.
Oh man, pull that. See if you can find that one video of him with the girl, the first one they did on the boat that got him really famous. I want to say that was only 4 or 5 months ago, and I don't know
That's what
how
I'm
many
saying.
millions.
That's what I'm saying. In the last like 5 months, he's really he's gone hard. Like, but there's some stuff. I mean, it's like he set up a dinner table. I saw a picture. He set up a dinner table underwater where he could like pretend like he was eating underwater, and then he did like a whole skit where he was like underwater doing all this stuff. I'm like, fuck, man, that must have taken you like a fucking full day to like.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a suit, and I'm just like, fuck, man.
Well, he's going a different approach.
Yeah.
Instead of the baller approach, like shooting guns in his underwear, what he's doing is he's got like this one beautiful girlfriend. They just have a good time all over the world. It seems. I mean, it's a different approach, but here's the point.
I like that. I dig that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like
there he is. That's it.
No, that's awesome.
I mean, this
Yeah.
motherfucker can dance.
No, he can. He can fucking cut some rug.
And he looks like he's having a good time.
No, 100%. But see that's cool to me.
Yeah.
Like the other stuff that's like it seems like a lot of effort's put into it is not quite. But that's dope. I mean, and
Yeah.
chick seems cool. Motherfucker
Yeah.
can dance. Looks like he's having fun. I mean, like
Listen, if you got that kind of money, why wouldn't you be dancing?
Yeah.
You should be dancing.
that's awesome.
You should be partying your fucking and he is. It's just
Yeah.
I don't understand his tattoos. I'm confused about the ankle one. What's going on down there? Maybe it's like his ex-wife's name. Like, fuck you, bitch. I fucking
know.
covered it.
He's in good shape though.
Yeah, he
man.
is.
Fuck, for-
Yeah, he's in very good shape for a 49-year-old. That's my age, God damn it. I'm fucking 49, man. It's just the end is near, Dan.
I don't know. You're in the right time frame. I'll tell you what.
It
'cause
is.
They got the stem cells. They got the HGH.
I've already had a gang of it. All
have
the
you done the
above.
stem cells?
Oh yeah, man. Stem cells fix my fucking shoulder.
Well,
like, people are tired of
now-
hearing about it on this podcast.
Was
but
that Regenikine or was that stem
that
cells?
I had Regenikine done on my shoulder too. It
So I
didn't
did
help
the
as
same
much.
thing.
I had some pretty significant tearing. Slap tear. I had a tear of the labrum, a tear of the biceps tendon, and a tear of the rotator cuff.
Oh wow! I did the rotator cuff.
Yeah.
I basically I couldn't even lift my arm like 3 inches. I did the Regenikine, and then 3 weeks later I was boxing. Like
Well, the
hitting-
Regenikine did wonders for my back. It just wasn't enough for my shoulder. But again, I'm an idiot. I don't give it enough time off. But
Well, I literally from like this 3 weeks later I was boxing. Like
yeah, that is
pretty
amazing.
aggressive, right? I mean, and by the way, all the doctors told me I needed surgery.
The same thing to me.
Yeah.
Now, I've had that said to me twice. I need surgery on my neck, and I've heard I need surgery on my shoulder. I avoided both of them, and I do everything now.
Yeah.
But one of the things about shoulder injuries that I found from Steve Maxwell, he's a pretty famous strength and conditioning coach that's been on this podcast a bunch of times, is hanging. Hanging from chin-up bars. It's so important to do. It's so good for your shoulders to straighten out your shoulders.
I thought you were gonna say bad. I was like, fuck, because I've done a lot of that. So
No,
okay,
no, it's
good.
really good for you. There's a whole video about it where this doctor, who was a shoulder surgery doctor, stopped doing shoulder surgery on most of his patients and started them on this hanging therapy. Because when you see, most human beings essentially were primates, and most primates swing from trees. I mean, that is what they do. They grab a hold of things and they swing, and it stretches out your arm, and you develop impingements from gravity, from a lack of use, or from too much use or overuse. And this guy has you hang from a chin-up bar, just holding on and hanging. And it stretches out your shoulder, and it alleviates pain in a giant percentage of people that have shoulder injuries. And I urge anybody who's listening to this that has any sort of shoulder weirdness or some shit that fucks with them to just try this. I know it sounds crazy. Like, how the fuck is hanging by your shoulders going to help you? And this is one doctor. This is not the doctor that invented the procedure, but he basically explains it really well. There's a bunch of them. What did you Google so people can...
Shoulder pain hanging from bar, and there's a lot of things that start popping up as you do that.
There's a gang of it, but it's super effective. It's super effective for a lot of people. I mean, if you have like significant tearing where you're going to need surgery, you have a failure of your joint or something like that, that's one thing. But for a lot of people, this offers them a great deal of relief, and it really helps me. I do it every day. It's one of the first things I do in the morning. I hang. And then I do scapular raises for archery. So I hang. I'll do like 2 minutes of hanging. And then once I've done 2 minutes, then I contract my scapula and I hold that in place for as long as I can. So it's like my hands are given out, my forearms are given out, and then I force my scapula to carry all the weight.
Interesting.
And you make it a daily routine. Just make it. This is what I do. I brush my teeth. I do that. I just have to do it. So I'm forcing myself. I have zero pain in my shoulders. But the stem cells was a big factor.
So now, are you getting the infusion, or are you getting the how are you getting it? Like IV
stem cells?
Or yeah?
Well, what they do is they take it from a young woman who's had a cesarean section. When they give birth through cesarean section, they take the placenta and then they use that for stem cells.
Okay.
And that apparently is the most powerful version of stem cell therapy. There's a bunch of different kinds they use in this country that a lot of people like. A lot of people like it when they take your fat out. They take your fat out and they convert that to stem cells.
My buddy did that.
But Daniel Cormier, they went into his hip. They got his marrow out of his hip.
That's what I did. I got the 19-year-old bone marrow.
From someone else?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier, they went into his own hip and pulled it out. But I've heard great results from a lot of different versions of stem cells. But I know for me personally, when they shot the stuff from placenta into my shoulder, it was like within a couple of weeks, it was better than it had been in a year.
Wow.
And then a few months after that, I was like no pain. It's amazing how quick it's healed. And I also did a lot of shoulder exercises with rubber bands and stuff. A lot of different things that I concentrate on. I do all the time now to strengthen up the area and keep it tight.
But you haven't done the IV stuff?
No, you did that, huh?
Yeah, I've done that twice now.
Boss Rutan did that. He told me that it was like it was like the power was coming out of my hands. Ah!
Bro, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I basically. It was weird though. The first time I did it, it seemed like I had a lot more of a profound effect than the second. But the first time, so I went down to Mexico because you can't do it in the U.S. So I went down there. I got like 90 million of the 19-year-old bone marrow that have been oxygen deprived, whatever, and they inject it in you. The next day I went to get some dental work done. I think I got a root canal, whatever it was, but they injected 25 vials of like lidocaine or Novocaine or whatever it is. And they said that my body was just cycling it through like instantaneously, right? So I had all this dental work done. The next day I was completely healed from all the dental work, which is pretty crazy.
What?
Yeah. And they said they've never given anybody that much lidocaine ever. Even, and they're like, the guy asked me if I do coke. And I'm like, no, like I haven't done that since I was 25. He's like, yeah. He's like, normally, like nobody can, needs this much unless they have some kind of a thing. And I'm like, actually, normally really drug sensitive. I also found that because I do HRT, and I found that when I did the shots, it was like a lot.
For people listening, it's hormone replacement therapy.
Yeah, and so basically, I found that it just cycled all these drugs faster through my system. So I'd get a stronger effect, but then it'd be out. And then I went to the gym. They said you're not supposed to work out for 3 days or whatever. I went to the gym. I think it was like 4 or 5 days later, and I was like 20% stronger. Wow. And I mean, I've been training for 20 something years. I've done everything. So to get like 20% strength increase is just fucking crazy.
Dude, I'm going to Mexico.
It was so
What
nuts.
part of Mexico? Where do you go exactly?
I
Got an
actually
address?
went to Tijuana.
Tijuana. Oh,
Shithole,
man,
yeah.
Tijuana. It's so dangerous.
No, I had it was like Sicario. I had like the armored cars. I like made them give me a machine gun. I was like, yes,
Really?
Yes, I had like a machine gun. Which,
You wanted your own machine
Yeah,
gun
I
while you're
wanted my
down
own
there?
machine
Just in
gun.
case shit goes down, you don't want these guys to get shot?
Bro, that place is like the fucking Wild West, man. You know, at least if I'm going out, I want to have a gun. You know,
But Tijuana seems to me like, yeah, it's the Wild West, but they don't want to fuck it up because the money's made all through tourism. Like if somebody gets gunned down or kidnapped, nobody wants to go to Tijuana. So you rarely hear about anything going down in Tijuana except those drug murders.
Yeah.
But that was just the last ones with those beheadings, which were was like a decade ago.
Pretty gnarly shit. I mean, I just know that they didn't want me to fly my plane down there. I did anyways, but they're like, yeah, you should probably charter, and you know.
You should probably drive. Why don't you drive? It's not that long.
I don't know. Last time I hadn't been down there since the military, but it just seemed like the border crossing going back just took forever.
It's a nightmare.
And now they want you to have I mean, I don't know. Back in the day, it was easy. We used to walk across.
Driver's license. Yeah.
Yeah, driver. Yeah, that's all.
When
you
did they
needed.
make it a passport thing? It was Canada too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Canada's been like that, but Mexico, I think, used to not be like, or maybe
Well, Canada
wasn't
used to
either.
be.
Yeah,
no,
it might
Canada
not
used to be licensed. When I used to
Yeah.
go to Montreal, I used to.
No, you're right. Because I used to go fishing trips with it. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how long ago it was, but they definitely changed a lot since, you know.
Dude, I want to get these injections.
You
just
should.
for no reason. I just want to
I
get
did
them.
it for no reason. And I was like, fuck it.
How come you only did it once?
No, I did it twice.
Oh, you did it twice?
Yeah, but the second time I just felt like I just left. I actually went like straight from Burning Man down there. And I only got 70, and I don't know. I did a fast before, and I kind of like, and I kind of got sick, and then I took some antibiotics. They say you're not supposed to take antibiotics. I don't know. Maybe I fucked it up. I'm not really sure, but I just remember the first time was a distinctly, like super strong effect.
Yeah, well, I believe Boss Rutan went to South America. I think. Did you remember where he said he went, Jamie? Peru? Did he say Peru?
Yeah, my buddy does it in Cancun. I know they were doing it in
They do it in
Germany.
Cancun?
Yeah, I think Düsseldorf. I mean, you know, it's just basically anywhere that's not in the U.S. I think.
Yeah. Well, we got fucked during the Bush administration when they did this sweeping ban on stem cells because of the religious right.
Exactly. They don't want you to play God, and you know.
Well, it wasn't just that. It's like they were concerned. Stem cells were connected to fetal tissue, and there was this whole idea that people were going to get abortions on purpose just to get the fetal tissue
Or
and
to sell the stem cells.
Yeah, and they probably would. I mean, someone probably would.
for sure.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be a lot of people, but it'd be enough that it would be an issue with some folks. So because of that, all these European countries, like especially Germany, got way ahead of the curve when it comes to stem cell research and applications in the medical industry. And you know what we're seeing now. You know, you obviously know Regenikine was invented in Germany. That's how I found out about it.
Mickey
from
Rourke
Dana
was
White.
doing it on his knee, like fuck. I think it was like 20 years ago or something crazy. I mean,
Do you know Mickey Rourke?
I've met him twice.
Tell him to settle down. Just calm down, dude.
He seemed like a cool cat.
He does seem like a good guy, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
calm down.
Yeah, he's
Whatever you're doing, don't do that anymore. Just relax.
what a fucking actor though. The Wrestler was like one of my favorite movies. I thought that was
How about
so
Pope
good.
of Greenwich Village, man? I mean, go back to some of his old shit. Angel Heart.
Yeah.
It's a bad motherfucker. I mean,
It was good. The Wrestler just seems so authentic. I don't know. It just I just like that movie a lot.
well, it was perfect for him at the time too,
was.
because he was an older guy, and you know, and he was kind of fucked up on his own.
He looked
and-
the part.
Yeah,
It was just like, man.
he was perfect for it.
Yeah.
No, he's a fucking amazing actor, and people forget that because he's kind of a freak now. But if you go back to his earlier stuff and you see like how good he was in Diner, you know, I mean, he was amazing. He was amazing. But yeah, whatever he's doing, don't do that anymore. But I know Peyton Manning went down there to Germany, and
So now let me ask you: is that stuff banned in professional sports?
Regenikine?
No. Not the healing stuff. I'm talking about just like stem cell infusions.
No, not yet.
Oh wow.
But could be soon. I mean, it really
I don't
depends.
know how you. I mean, I don't know if you could test for that. I mean, it's like because the thing. What I've been told is you cannot tell the difference between a regular, like a stem cell from you or a stem cell from me or whatever. If it's been scrubbed and it's in your system, I mean, it's like they said to me, a stem cell is a stem cell. But
Well, I pay very close attention to the latest cutting edge research for doping because of the UFC and because I'm friends with Jeff Nowitzki, who's the guy who busted Lance Armstrong, who's of course the guy who works for the UFC now, and he and I talk all the time. And it's really fucking interesting how these people who are trying to get ahead are like they're way ahead of the people that are trying to detect it.
Yeah.
So like now they're developing testosterone from animals, which is interesting because you're seeing people that are taking testosterone, it's exogenous testosterone, but it used to be that they were getting it from wild yams. So what they would do is they would do carbon isotope tests and they would be able to detect that the testosterone inside of your body is not from a biological, it's not from an animal. The testosterone is actually coming from a yam. There's a Mexican wild yam. It's really interesting.
wow.
But now they're figuring out a way to extract it from animals, at least theoretically. So Nowitzki says that like it hasn't been proven yet, but they're pretty sure. So what they're doing now is they're taking people's piss and blood, and then they freeze it, and they hold on to it for 8 years. So the idea is that 8 years from now, they're going to find out like new detection methods, and they're using those in the Olympics now, which is why 2 Russian Olympic gold medalists in wrestling got their medals taken away from 2008.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they haven't even gone to 2012 yet. So there's 2012, 2016. I mean, there's these guys are going to get fucked over for sure. But you know, Russia has an extensive state-sponsored anti-doping agency.
Yeah. Well, they also are pretty. Big advocates of. I mean, they were the ones that started it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, like back in the powerlifting.
These Germans
and,
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they started it, but also what's interesting is the scientists that were involved in the program, they all got whacked. They're killing these motherfuckers left and right. Because all the people that know, when one guy blew the whistle, one of the Russian anti-doping guys blew the whistle, apparently they just started icing these motherfuckers.
Wow.
To see if you pull that up, Jamie, like how many Russian anti-doping scientists have been murdered.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, they don't fuck around over there, man.
They don't fuck around.
And like, and from what I've heard, like Putin's like really into the sports too. So he's like,
oh yeah, he's into fighting. He loves Fedor.
Yeah.
Fedor Emelianenko. Yeah.
Whatever happened to that guy?
Motherfucker time got him, you know, and Jesus got him. He got super into Jesus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he changed, his body changed. I don't know, it's indicative of his training methods.
Well, he never really had much of a body on him. He
didn't?
always
Well, he always
looked
had
like a
fat.
guy that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's so strange to me when you see guys like him or especially guys like Country Nelson. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this guy like I just don't understand how you could train all the time and look like it's just
I know.
like so crazy to me, right? Like,
I know, especially Roy, right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, big country. Yeah, it's like,
Well, Roy, he wears it like a badge of courage too. And
Yeah.
I think Roy, if Roy got super disciplined and lost a ton of weight, he would be fighting at 185 pounds and he would be knocking motherfuckers to the moon.
It'd be invincible with that fucking chin that this guy's been getting cracked. He like the big guys can't knock him out. How the fuck are the little guys, right?
Well,
Like,
unfortunately, his chin started to fail him in recent years. I mean, a couple. Mark Hunt knocked him out. And
yeah,
that
but
was
that's just kind of like time, right? But I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, you know, genetically, the guy was like blessed with like, you know,
the
this
freakiest chin of all time.
crazy, right? So it's like I never understood how you could train that much because obviously it's genetics, but I just remember, you know, when I was in the military, like going through and I would eat like pizzas, I would eat butter. I was trying to like gain fat because it was so fucking cold in this water,
Right.
and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, like granted, we were probably training more hours, but like, fuck, I don't know. I mean, a lot of these, you know, UFC guys that I know, they train 6 hours a day. I mean, it's just like,
Yeah, I don't know what Roy eats, but it's not good. Whatever it is.
fuck.
It's most likely a lot of carbs. Most likely he's just taking in a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, and his body doesn't know what to do with it. And it just
He must just have a slow metabolism. I don't
could
know.
be. I don't know. I mean, he certainly trains hard. He's got endurance. I mean, Roy doesn't gas out. I mean, he gets tired like everybody else does, but it's not like a fatigue issue.
Yeah, no, it's.
What's crazy is I knew Roy way back in the day, and Roy was known as being like a really good grappler. He was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu competitor. I knew him before he ever did MMA. And when he did MMA, my thought was, oh, well, you're going to see some high-level grappling from this guy. This guy's like a stud on the mat. Nope. Just started bombing
Never
guys
seen him
out.
on the ground, yeah.
Hardly ever. Well, the one time we really see his jiu-jitsu was in the Andrei Arlovsky fight when he's fighting in Elite XC. Took Arlovsky down, had him in side control, but Elite XC they were really corrupt. And they had this weird thing where if you were on the ground for more than 15 seconds, they'd stand you up. Yeah. So he's on the ground, inside control with a double wrist lock, going for a Kimura on Orlovsky, and they stand him up. And he wound up getting stopped by Orlovsky. But that was
so crazy.
But that was that, they were making Kimbo Slice their poster boy, and it was like Gary Shaw was promoting it. He was a boxing guy, and he had his own idea about how to promote it, and they weren't MMA friendly. It was just they wanted excitement. They didn't really want to promote like in a pure sense of the sport, So it was the whole thing was kind of fucked. But
I remember I saw Kimbo. I was down in Miami and I saw one of his fights or whatever, and they had like some alternate guy like come in off the couch, and this guy had knocked him out like
Seth Petrozelli.
10 seconds. It was just so crazy.
That was a bad fight. They should have never taken that fight. Yeah. Seth Petrozelli's very good, and when I saw that, I knew that Kimbo was a tough guy. He was a really good guy too. Yeah. Unfortunately, he passed away recently, which is kind of fucked up because he had a bad heart and he was scheduled for another fight.
Did they ever figure out what it was? It was just
bad heart. He had some congenital heart defect. I don't know if it was genetic. I don't know if it was something that happened along the way. I don't know. But he was a really good guy, like pretty much universally loved. Really good guy.
His story is so crazy. Like, I heard the guy like basically almost like walked onto the football team.
Yeah.
Like, so nuts. Like, living on the streets like.
Yeah, just a tough guy, knew how to punch, and when I found out about him, like everybody else did through these YouTube videos. Yeah. Did you ever see when he fought Sean Gannon?
I don't.
Sean Gannon was a cop.
Oh yes, yeah, the white guy, right?
Yeah,
the tall, big white guy.
See if you find that in Sean Gannon versus Kimbo Slice. They had a dojo war.
Yeah,
and he was a cop in Massachusetts, and he got in trouble for beating up Kimbo, and like he got suspended, I think, from the police force. Yeah, there he is right there. This is a crazy fight, man.
Yeah,
they just
had
this brawl in the middle of this dojo. I think Kenny Florian was there, and people were posted. This was on mixedmartialarts.com, which is the greatest martial arts website on the internet. Back in the day, we all watched this shit live. I don't remember if we had to pay for it. It was streaming on some website or something like that.
These guys are banging it out. I like it.
Bare knuckle.
I remember this. I definitely remember being like, fuck, this guy could fucking throw some punches.
Oh, yeah. Well,
the first time he got tested, right?
Yeah. Sean Gannon is a tough motherfucker. Yeah. Tough as hell. Longtime cop, real martial artist, had a bunch of pro fights. And there was like all these like discrepancies about the rules because he's got him in a standing guillotine, and they're trying to break it up, and there's all you got to let go and all this different shit.
Yeah.
So he lets go, and then it winds up going to the ground. Like it was all stacked against Gannon.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want Kimbo to get submitted.
Yeah, nobody wanted the legend to die, right?
Yeah, and Gannon's got a hold of this guillotine. He doesn't want to let it go, and then Kimbo winds up getting him down on the ground. So then Kimbo's ground and pounding him. See, like this is supposed to be illegal too. You're not supposed to be able to do this. But Gannon had a fucking head like a fire hydrant, and just super game and great endurance. And so Kimbo's used to taking these guys out, and he couldn't take Gannon out. And Gannon eventually beat him down. And they had some crazy nonsense like a 30 count. Like when he goes down, you count to 30 before you get back up. I'm not kidding. And he beat it once. He beat it once, and then Gannon got him, knocked him down again. But you could see Kimbo starting to get tired, and that was the big thing. But so he goes from this and then starts fighting in Elite XC and has some great fights, man. Some really good fights. The James Thompson fight was kind of controversial as well. But I knew him as like a pretty tough, really tough. But as far as like professional skill set, he wasn't like at the elite level. And so when he fought Petrozelli, I was like, oh my God, he's going to get fucked up. Like this is a terrible fight for him. Petrozelli's he's a world-class fighter. And that happened real quick.
Yeah. No, I remember I was like front row for that thing.
So tell me about your heart attacks, if you can't show me the video.
Yeah. So basically, I was, I think I was 25. I was on a ski trip with my fraternity brothers. We were in Park City, Utah. Park City. And we'd just been partying. I met this chick in the lift line, ended up getting her number. And I went to the bar, and I got like everybody's shit faced. It was like $300, right? Got the whole bar drunk. We're having fun. We go back to her house. We're banging till like 7 in the morning, or to 6 in the morning. And then I get a call. Like I just showered. And I was like just started sleeping, and my buddy's like, hey, it's the last fucking day. Like, we're going. Like, let's ride. And I was just like, fuck it. All right, sure. So I took a shot. I drank some coffee. Like, got my shit on, went out. We
Took a shot of booze?
Yeah, shot of tequila.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. I was like, fuck. I mean, you know, what? I mean, if you keep drinking, you don't get hungover, right? So I was like, fuck it. So rode all day. And then that night, I don't know if it was like a stomach flu or what, but I was just like puking, and I just like felt like shit, and I just like couldn't keep anything down. I remember I paid like the hotel guy like $100 to give me a bunch of Gatorade because I couldn't even like leave my room. So next day, go to the airport, and I knew that if I got an IV, I would feel better because I've like had some, you know, when you get dehydrated, that's usually like the root of most of your problems. So I just like ended up buying an IV from this medic because the guy's like, well, if I hook this up to you, you know, like you're not gonna be able to fly. And I was like, dude, like, you know, I gave him a bunch of bullshit. I was like, oh, I'm, you know, a fucking medic from the military, and, you know, this and that, and I'm, you know, qualified to do this, you know. Anyway, this guy ended up fucking selling me the bag, you know, basically just gave it to me. I hooked it up myself, like, on the plane.
Had you ever done this before?
Yeah, we did it a couple times when we were buds, like if we went out drinking or whatever, and we had to like train the next day.
And this is a commercial flight or a private flight?
Commercial, yeah.
So a commercial flight, you hook up an IV bag.
Yeah, well, in the bathroom, like, yeah, before I got on there, right? So I go in the bathroom, like, hook this thing up, you know.
Jesus.
Yeah, you know, you got to wait like an hour, right? So I'm like, what else am I going to do? So I fucking, you know, hook this thing up, start feeling better, go to Vegas.
How long did you let it drip in there for?
I mean, probably 20 minutes. I was like,
so you just locked the bathroom door?
I was like in the bathroom and just like hooked it up and just fucking hope.
Did anybody bang on the door? Hey, dude, I gotta take a shit.
No, it was like, I'm pretty sure it was in the airport. I mean, it's just been like fucking 11, 12 years, but yeah, I think it was. It wasn't on the plane. It was like in the airport.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
Like in
the
airport.
bathroom in the airport.
And so, you know, I just, you know, and so
That's
I started,
so sketchy.
Yeah, super sketchy. I don't even know if I use alcohol. I'm such a scumbag. So so I get to Vegas. I'm like feeling a little bit better. I'm just like, I'm such a sicko. I'm like want to go gamble, right? Like I should have gone and like, you know, checked in. Oh, yeah, I did check into my room. I should have like gone to sleep, but no, I like go gamble, play poker all fucking night. I'm like gambling, you know, poker's stressful and this and that. My buddy comes to me. He's like, hey, like, you know, we got these strippers. Like, let's go to the strip club. We got ecstasy and all this drugs. And I was like, fuck. I was like, all right, fine. You know, I was like winning in poker. I was like, fine, sure. So we start getting fucked up, go to the strip club. And I asked the, you know, and I asked the first chick that like came over. She's like, oh, like you want some lap dances? I'm like, no, like I haven't slept in like 2 days. Like I just want to get my dick sucked. Like I'll give you $500, right? Suck my dick. And she's like, no, like, you know, like I'll fuck you. And I was like, no, like, you know, I was like, I don't really want to fuck you. I just want, you know, to get the blowjob. And she slaps me, like, cause basically she's like offering to fuck me for free. And I said no. So she's like, so she slaps me in the face, right? Like, and I was like, damn. And I was like, and then the next chick comes up and I like offered her the same thing. I was like, hey, like, I'll give you $500 to suck my dick. I'm like, I don't really want any lap dances. She's like, well, it's like, you know, I'm down to hang out, you know, and, you know, I can get off. And I'm just like, fuck. I'm just like, well, this sounds like she's going to want me to bang her. I'm like, I don't want to get slapped again. I was just like, so I'm like, okay, like, you know, get your shit. Like, let's get out of here. Let's go after party. So I talked to my buddy. I'm like, hey, like, I need a Viagra or some kind of dick pill or something, you know. And I'd never taken Viagra, so I didn't really know the dosing or whatever. So he gives me the 100 milligram one, which is like for fucking, if you don't know anything about, you know, Viagra, that's for like geriatrics, right? This dude gives me this thing. I take the whole thing. I don't know, like a minute goes by and I'm like, the fucking thing isn't working. But I'm all coked up. I think, you know, it seems like it's been an hour, right? The guy's like, it hasn't been enough time. I'm like, give me another pill. And so he's like, no, like you can't. I'm like, give me the fucking thing. So he gives me another. He's like, only take half. He's like, don't take this. And so anyway, so I take another half. Wait like 5 minutes, do some more blow, and I'm like, oh, my dick's not hard. Like the girl's not even around. Like I have no like sexual stimulus. There's no even reason for my dick to be hard, right? But it's like in my mind, I'm like overthinking it, which makes it worse, right? So I'm like, fuck it. So I take the other half. So now I'm like 200 milligrams into this fucking Viagra, which is like, you know, double the absolute max from what you know.
You can have some guys have to get their dick drained, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. So. Go back to my hotel, and I'm like fucking banging the shit out of this girl. Like, you know, I mean, I got like veins coming out of my head. I'm sweating profusely, and I'm like doing I'd fucked her for like maybe like 45, 50 minutes. Like, it was not pleasurable at all. This was like work, right? I'm just like, And after like, fuck, man, I think it was like 50 minutes. I just quit. Like I was just like, I just knew there was just zero chance of me coming. And I'd like punished this chick enough. And I'm just like, and I like didn't like, I was just tired. I went in the bathroom, took a cold shower. My dick like wouldn't go down. Like I'd like order some room service. I ended up like tucking it up into my waist. And because like there's just no going down for this fucking thing, right? So eat the room service. I think, then I actually ended up taking a Valium, went to sleep, banged her again, woke up, went and ate some Mexican food. I was like betting on the sports game, and I started getting like this pain in my shoulder, and I couldn't really like know what it was. It was like, it kind of just felt like an ache. So I started doing some push-ups. That didn't really make it feel any better. And I was like stretching my arm out. I was like trying to sleep, but I couldn't even like lay on that side. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like heart attack never even entered into the realm of possibility of shit that could be wrong with me, right? I'm like fucking 25. Like it's like shoulder pain. Like wow, I didn't have no idea that would have anything to do with a heart attack. So call my mom, tell her to get the family doctor on the phone. She calls this dude up, and I'm like getting like kind of short of breath. So I'm like, fuck. So I just hang up the phone, and I find out the hospital's like 10 minutes away. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just get a cab, be faster. I should have got an ambulance, but I got a cab. Note to self, always get an ambulance if you got any shit, because I got the cab. I was in the waiting room for like 50 minutes. I pulled out like 10 grand out of my pocket. I told the lady, I was like, I'll give you 10 grand. Let me talk to the fucking doctor. Like something's wrong with me. I don't know what's wrong, but I know something's wrong. Anyway.
Did she take the 10 grand?
Fuck no. It made me sit in the fucking waiting room. And like 30, 40 minutes go by. I finally get seen by a doctor. He's like, holy shit, like you're having a full-blown heart attack, all this stuff. And give me the nitroglycerin. And I call my dad, and my mom was like, telling me, I'm thinking I'm fucking done, right? And because this has been going on for a while. I'm like having a hard time breathing. I'm like in pain. And so they give me the nitroglycerin, right? And I start feeling better. They do a angiogram or whatever where they check out the heart. They said there was no damage. Parents come out. The next day I have another one. And I'm like, and I tell the doctor, I'm just like, and my doctor was Conrad Murray too, by the way, which is Michael Jackson's doctor, the guy that smoked him. And the craziest...
That was your doctor?
Yeah, and the spookiest thing about the whole deal was my grandfather had the same doctor in the same motherfucking hospital exactly 1 year prior and died. So I'm just like, this is not looking good for the home team. This is before he'd killed Michael Jackson's ass too, right? So I'm like, fuck, I'm just in the hospital. So I call my dad. I'm like, I'm having another heart attack. I tell the nurse, and they're like, no, like your thing looks fine. I call my dad. I'm like, there's something wrong. My dad like comes down to the hospital, and sure enough, like I'm having a second like minor heart attack. I'm just like, what the fuck? So they do a bunch of tests. They say my heart's fine, and then they ask me for like the list. So I got to like give them the list. And my ex-girlfriend's there, my mom's there, my dad's there, and I'm just like started off with like, oh well, I was like smoking some pot, and he's like, well, like you better tell us like what you've been doing. Like it's important. We need to figure out what's going on with you. And I was like, and I did some, ecstasy and some cocaine, and like my dad like looks over at me like, what the fuck? My dad's like super square, and anyway, so then I was like, and I think I took some Viagra. My girlfriend's like fucking rioting now. And he's like, how much? I'm like, 200 milligrams. He's like, what? He's like, 200 milligrams. I'm like, I don't fucking know. It's like, seem like what, what I was supposed to take. He's like, that's like an insane amount. Like, anyway, so I end up staying in the hospital for like 4 days. I actually fucked my girlfriend in the hospital with all these like cords and crazy shit.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I like smoked a joint in the hospital thing. I fucked her. Like I had a buddy of mine bringing like wine coolers and Chinese food. I was like the worst patient of all time, right? And somehow like, so they give me all these fucking pills I got to take. They're telling me like I got to take these pills for the rest of my life.
For the rest of your life?
That's what they said. And I was just like, after like 3 days, like I fucked my girlfriend, I ate the Chinese food. I was like, okay, I'm like back to being invincible again. I threw all the shit away.
What is a heart attack exactly? I've heard that phrase, but what is the exact medical thing that's going on?
For a guy that's had two, I should know. I don't know. I think it's just like basically when your heart's not getting enough oxygen or something. Or I don't know.
It's not functioning properly.
Yeah,
here we
like
go.
usually there's like a blocked artery. There's like something. And I think like Coke is a vasoconstrictor or whatever, so maybe it like constricted my veins, so there wasn't like enough.
But isn't the
flow.
Viagra a vasodilator? So shouldn't that balance it out?
I think, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't really know the science behind it, but I know that like Coke and Viagra, I don't think you're supposed to mix them. I don't know.
Wow.
I mean, I know I did a lot of both. So should have canceled out, but I guess it didn't. I guess my body was like so confused. It was going so many directions. It's like, fuck you, and just shut down. I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah.
Wow. That's fucking terrifying. 25 years old and have a heart attack.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy, right?
But your heart obviously works great now. I mean, you did that Vegas run.
Yeah.
The crazy bike
the
thing.
bike, yeah.
Which was fucking hilarious because you and I were talking about it, and then Lance Armstrong gets a hold of me. He says, "Hey, man, I want to help him."
Yeah, I remember I got the text from you, and you're like, "Yeah, would you want Lance to coach you?" I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah."
So what did he do?
There's a bear shit in the woods. So I mean, it was funny because he like came out, and I was like, expecting. I was like, okay, like what kind of drugs do I need to do? I'm like ready to get all doped up, and he didn't really like want to talk about any of the drug shit, which was like kind of disappointing.
He didn't want to talk about the drug shit.
No. I was like, I thought this guy would have like some like miracle formula, right? I was like ready to get all hooked up, but I actually had like a super high hematocrit count. And he was actually the one that told me, he's like, I think sleep apnea makes it so that you have that you can have a really high red blood cell count. Mm-hmm. So I actually have like the equivalent of like the guys that are doing the EPO and doping. I have
from
like,
sleep apnea.
I guess
sleep apnea helps in some sort of a way.
Well, because you're basically at night you're
gasping for air.
Yeah, gasping for air, and you're lacking oxygen. So it's kind of like goes back to the whole like sleeping in an oxygen tent, right? So the reason you do that is because you don't have enough oxygen. Because you don't, your body stimulates your red blood cell count, and so because red blood cells are what transports the oxygen. So the less oxygen you have, the more your body produces that. Well, if it gets to a certain point, then your blood kind of turns into fucking syrup, right? So
this is amazing. Look at that surprising link between sleep apnea and red blood cell count. According to Sleep Review magazine, elevated red blood cell count or a high hematocrit is an indicator of a lack of oxygen in a person's body.
Yeah,
that's amazing. So sleep apnea can actually give you more endurance. Sort of.
Well, the problem.
You're tired.
The problem is you don't really recover. So I actually because of him, I actually ended up getting a mouth guard, which I think helped.
I have a really good one, and I know a really good doctor. I don't know if yours is the same as what we'll talk about that later.
I think mine was like $50 online. So probably not.
Yeah, it's probably not.
Yeah,
There's a guy that's close to here. It actually pushes down in your tongue because the issue is with a lot of guys who work out a lot.
Mine was they put my jaw, like it kind of moved my back jaw forward a little bit, kind of like gives me an underbite. So it's supposed to open the airway, but I don't know.
That's not the best one.
Yeah,
there's a better one than that. For me, it's a life changer. It changed my fucking life. It's guys who work out a lot in particular. You develop big neck muscles, and that can constrict the air hole, and your tongue can fall back on that, especially if you lie on your back. Like if I lie on my back, dude, it sounds horrible. It's it sounds like choking, and it's just terrific.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. So what did he have you do?
Lance or
Lance.
Oh, so I mean, I did I did a good ride with him. We did like some vehicle drafting, which was actually like surprisingly really fucking hard because you have to stay close enough to the vehicle to where you're like in that draft. But then if you get caught by a crosswind, and plus if you're drafting a vehicle, you can't see like what's in the road. And if you hit any shit in the road, or there's a because on my race I blew out a front tire doing like 30 something downhill and almost crashed. And I was like on the highway doing this too. So I like they have those things that like wake you up when you're sleeping. Those big fucking yeah. So try hitting that on a fucking bicycle with little skinny tires doing like 30 miles an hour. Like that shit's gnarly. So it like sent me into the fucking highway, and I'm getting passed by like tractor trailers at like 70, 80, 90 miles an hour. Which, if you think about it, if you're in a car and it like weighs 5,000 pounds and it can pull a car, imagine what it does to a guy on a bike that weighs 200 pounds plus fucking 10 bike.
Well, we
pounds.
didn't explain the bet. What was the bet?
So it actually originally we're in a poker game, and this guy Bill Perkins, he just makes crazy bets all the time because he's a real rich guy and he likes to just fucking make people do crazy shit. And it's kind of like it's the poker world too. So the first bet was he bet my brother that he couldn't go 3 days without saying the word I think it was. He bet him like 100,000 or something like that. And then I think he basically just wanted to shut my brother up. He just wanted to pay $100,000 to do it because he's like, fuck you. So it worked. Well, he ended up buying out because he realized that my brother was just like such a stubborn asshole that he just like wasn't going to talk for 3 days. And he's like married with kids, so he like doesn't have to go out and get any pussy, and like you could probably just like sit home with his fucking miserable dogs and just like not talk for 3 days and just collect $100,000. So he ended up buying out of that. But
that's on the honor system, right? I mean, he has
yeah, all this honor system. I mean, that's the thing about the poker community is like you lie one fucking time or you don't pay a debt back and you're just done. Like nobody will fuck with you. So you know, your word has to be good, which is kind of like, you know, one of my things which, you know, irritates me, like when people say that I'm not authentic, because I take like great pride in like, you know, being fucking 100% honest about everything, you know. So, and that's been like drilled in through 13, 14 years of gambling.
That's a big one though if you're married, because your wife would be like, listen, it's me. With me, the bet doesn't count. Okay, you have to say the.
Yeah, no, my brother would have told him. And so, you know, we were just discussing crazy shit because in the poker world, they've done crazy stuff. Like one guy bet another guy $5,000 he wouldn't jump in the Shark Tank at Atlantis. Another guy bet that, what was it? I mean, I bet $400,000 on a drag race, and I hadn't even raced a car before. And then there was another. There's been so many crazy ones. I'm just trying to think of the highlight reel. Oh boy. There was one really good one. Anyway, so he ended up betting. I'll think of some other ones later. But he ended up betting. He ended up wanting to bet Rick Solomon that he couldn't ride from L.A. to Vegas or Vegas to L.A. or whatever on a bicycle in 48 hours. And Rick like called one of his buddies that has like set some Guinness Book of World Records things and asked him, and the guy's like, look, like it's not gonna fucking happen, buddy. You can't do this. And so Rick ended up turning down the bet, and it was just like really intriguing to me because I'm always up for physical tests. You know, like during you know Hell Week, you stay up for it's 5.5 days with no sleep. And you run 144 miles like boats and telephone poles, and you get hypothermia, and you're doing all this like crazy shit. You don't sleep for 5.5 days, and you're just going the entire time, right? So I've like put myself through some like, and I did 2 of those, right? So I've put myself through some like real serious like physical tests. And one of the things that you learn there is that your body's just capable of way more than what you think or anybody else thinks it's capable of doing. But one other thing that you learn in gambling is that like there's certain things that sound like a good bet that just aren't. Just like drinking a gallon of milk in an hour. Like that sounds pretty fucking easy, right? But like there's something with the lactose which like most people just physically can't do it without puking, right? Because there's just like some weird thing. But like who would guess that? Or like saltine crackers. Like you can't, you know what I mean? Like there's like these weird little things that like sound super easy but you just can't do.
Yeah, I would think a gallon of milk would be totally doable.
Yeah, right. But it's like it's like a thing. I mean, I remember I like bet a fraternity brother, and he ended up puking. Like I bet him before his midterm, and I remember in his midterm he ended up vomiting on a girl. He got kicked out of his class. Like he projectile vomited like a gallon of milk onto a girl in his midterm. It was like pretty fucking brutal. And I was like, yeah, we had some funny midterm stories. I actually ended up taking my vitamins one morning with, I had a thing of GHB, and it looks just like water, right?
Oh, no.
And so I ended up taking like a full swallow because I had all these horse pills. So I took like a full swig. And I was like, holy fuck. I had about 20, 30 minutes before I turned into a fucking wild animal, right? And so I just like got in my car and I drove right down and I like called my buddy. I was like, hey, I got to go take this final. I was like, I'm going to be fucking lights out in 30 minutes. You got to like come pick me up, but I got to like finish as much as I can, right? So I go in there and I got like halfway through the test and I was just like, he ended up like carrying me out.
Yeah, you just black out, right?
Yeah, I was a fuck out.
They call it, it's a date rape drug.
I think that's Rohypnol.
But I mean, GHB as well. They've used that on people too.
Yeah, you'd have to be a real fucking asshole to do that because if you mix GHB with alcohol, like, you can kill somebody.
Yeah.
So
I know people have done it though.
Yeah, you got to be pretty hard up for pussy to like risk killing a girl to fuck her. But I don't know.
Have you ever seen? Speaking of the throwing up from drinking too much milk, did you ever see the Opie and Anthony sketch with the baby bird? Did you ever see Baby Bird? You know what that is?
No.
Maybe the most disgusting stunt that anyone's ever done on the radio. They had an eggnog drinking contest.
Okay.
And this dude, he drank 72 shots of eggnog. Is that what it was?
Jesus.
Something like that. But then projectile vomited, and then we were trying to figure out what to do here. Before you play this, pause this for a second because let me explain it. He knew he was going to throw up, so they had this intern named Pat Duffy. This intern's fucking crazy. And Dave from Munaki? No, who was the other guy?
I don't know. I've heard that name.
Pat from Munaki is the guy who throws up, and Pat Duffy is the guy who is laying down there. And we were trying to figure out what to do with the throw up. Like he said, I'm going to throw up. And so this guy,
was this
Pat
a
Duffy,
bet or like what was the?
no, he's an intern. He's a fucking animal.
And
This
you're
kid's
just
crazy.
fucking with him, or
no,
he was
no,
just trying to prove he's a man?
He would do anything.
Okay,
He would fucking
got it.
do
One of
anything
those guys.
just for the story and just for the gag. So we say, okay, here's the idea, because I was hosting Fear Factor at the time. I go, here's the idea. You lean your head over the edge of this garbage pail, and he throws up in your mouth. And he's like, I'll do it. And we're like, no fucking way. And I think Bill Burr was the one who named it. He named it the Baby Bird. And so just
my
watch
God.
this, because the sheer volume, you're not even going to believe that this is really.
Caroline's all weekend long.
I'm at Caroline's all weekend long. There's the plug. So Pat had won this before. I mean, he obviously he's a giant dude, and he was on like number like 72. And this other kid, Pat Duffy, sitting there with his head leaning. He's sitting in a chair, leaning back with his head over this barrel.
Oh my God.
And to this day, I mean, they've got tarps all over the ground. Who else was there? Ari Shafir was there. I think Red Band was there. To this day, maybe one of the best moments of my life. Just because it was so completely fucking ridiculous. Yeah. So here it comes. He's like, here we go. He takes one last chuck, and he's like, I'm going to throw up. Watch this.
Oh my God.
No, you haven't seen nothing. You haven't seen nothing. He throws in his face. No. Look at this.
Oh.
No, it keeps going. This is nothing. When you think it's over, it keeps going. Now watch. You think it's over. Like there's no way he has more in. No, he's got way more inside of him. Look at this.
Oh. Oh my God.
No, it's not over. Look
Oh.
at that. Jesus
That has to be
Christ.
going up his
No,
fucking
watch.
nose.
Keep watching.
Oh
He's not
my
even
God.
done. He's not even done.
Oh.
How is it possible?
Holy
How is it possible?
shit.
How is it possible?
Oh my God. That was like the chick in the midterm.
Hang on, more.
Oh my God.
And this is not fake. I mean, I was there, and we were all there.
my
We all saw
God.
this live, and I think he got one more inside of him. He gets one more off. Nope, he said that's it. He's done.
Oh my God. Hold on.
One of the greatest-
That's so fucking brutal. Hang on.
Go ahead.
God.
One of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. We're gonna get back to this bike racing story, ladies and gentlemen, in a moment. Ridiculous, huh?
I'm remembering. I don't think it was on. It might have been on one of the Jackass movies or the TV show. Bam's uncle, his crazy uncle, drank like 70 shots of peach schnapps.
70.
Something
Oh,
crazy,
that's right.
A shitload of
It was
amounts, crazy.
Bam
Don
Margera.
Vito. It was his
yeah.
uncle Don Vito.
The big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he started
70? 70?
projectile vomiting all. I think it was 7. It was a lot. It was way more than 20. I don't
Oh
know
my
if it was
God.
20, but
You could die from that. Well, there was a woman in San Jose or Sacramento, one of those places, where she was doing a radio contest. And it was like, how much water can you drink? And she died from drinking water. Like, if you drink too much water, you could die.
Did this guy get sick from this vomit stuff at all?
The kid,
Yeah.
Pat? No. The kid's bulletproof. Just doesn't get sick. That guy ate cat shit. He brushed his teeth with cat shit. He also ate Fruit Loops in the puke. Like, he took a bowl of Fruit Loops and mixed it with the puke and ate the Fruit Loops. Yeah. There's people out there that are different than you and I, Jamie. There's people that can do things that we can't do.
Why though?
Why? I don't know. Just for the story.
What's he up to now?
I don't know. Well, we're talking about him, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're talking about him. So it's like, it's one of those things. Like, that's why he did it. We're still
I guess
talking about him.
This was in a world pre-YouTube, really, right?
I don't remember when it was. It says 2008, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's correct. I feel like it was earlier than that. I feel like it was like 2003 or 4 or something like that. I think it was a long time ago.
God, that was so crazy.
It's insane, right?
Oh my God.
So,
I think that was like the guy in college. It was
So-
similar to that.
so back to the bet. So, so the bet is that you can't ride a bike from LA to Vegas? Do you have a starting point?
Oh yeah. So basically, so he was gonna bet this guy, and he like looked into it, and he's like, "Nah, that's like not possible." And I was hanging out, and I was just like, "Fuck!" I was like doing some research on it, and I like looked it up, and I like Googled like, how to prepare for a 300-mile bike ride in a month, and like nothing came up. It came up like how to prepare for a 100-mile in like 3 months, right? So I'm just like, that's not a good sign. But I just like, I don't know, something about me just thought it was possible. And so I was like talking to Bill. I was like trying to get more time. And I talked to like some buddies that were cyclists. Like, look, they're like, if you had time to like train for this, like you could do it. They're like, but there's fucking no way, like just off the couch, you could do it. And I'm like, how long, do I need? And they're like, minimum 3 months. So I'm talking to Bill, and I kind of like want the bet, but I'm just like, I don't know how much money I really want to risk. And so he ended up saying that he would give me, because the initial bet was like, you just had to go do it tomorrow, right? And I was like, there's no fucking way, like, and then he goes, well, I'll give you a month. And I go, give me, it was like until X date, and it was like a little under 6 weeks. I was like, and I'll do it. And he's like, how much do you want to bet? I was like, $600,000. Because I wanted to bet enough to where like I would do it, but I didn't want to bet too much to where like I'd not only like fucking break my ass, but like, just lose a shitload. So it's like 600 seemed like it was a good number. So we made the bet, and I started doing some research. So I go down to the bike shop, and I'm like, oh, like I need a bike. Like I'm doing a triple century ride. And the guy's like, oh, like how much biking? And I was like, oh, like I haven't been on a bike like ever really. I did some mountain biking like 19 years. The guy just like that response, he just like laughed at me. I'm like, no, like really, like I got to do it. I got like 5 weeks. And he just like looked at me like I was a complete fucking retard. And I'm like, no, like I've got to bet, like I'm gonna do it. And then the guy's like, okay, like what kind of bike do you want? I'm like, I don't know, like you're the bike shop, like tell me. Like I had no fucking idea, right? So he gives me like this race bike, which is like super fucking uncomfortable. So I go out and I ride this thing, and I rode it like, I don't know, for like 45 minutes. And my ass was just like fucking in so much pain. And I'm like, I am fucked. Like, I think I made it like 11 miles. And I was just like, this is going to be really brutal. And so I ended up finding like a bike where like you could sit down a little bit more as like a recumbent or whatever. It looked like a lowrider bicycle, right? Okay, so that'll like kind of alleviate a little bit of like the ass issue. And it gave me like a slightly different like pedaling position. So I got that, and then I felt a little bit better about the bet. And then I had like ridden a little bit, but like nothing over like 20 or 30 miles. And that was like, kind of like going hard. And then I talked to you, and I talked to Lance, and Lance is like, oh, if you use a fucking any other bike other than a road bike, like I'm not fucking, I can't have anything to do with this. And I'm like, look,
why?
I don't know, because it's like a fuck. I mean, I don't know.
It's a purist.
Yeah, it's a bike, or I don't fucking know. So I'm just like, well, listen, buddy, I'm betting big money on this. I'm like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I got to do to fucking make it there on a bicycle, right? And so, anyways, then I bet Rick Solomon. Rick thought I was gonna die because like the route that I chose was like on the freeway, and I didn't have a police escort at the time. So he's like, this guy's gonna be driving on the freeway at night. Like there's gonna be trucks past him. Like he's got a decent chance of dying. So, and he's like in the heart attack thing. And I actually went to the hospital because I was like having some like shoulder pain again, and it felt very similar to the last thing. So I was like, fuck. So Rick is like,
This is why you were training, you were having shoulder pain?
Yeah, like after I had done like a long ride, one of the nights, like I actually went to the hospital. I was like kind of worried. And so Rick was like saying that, and I was like, let's bet that I'll bet you I don't die. And I was like, and I'll give you odds. I was like, because for me, I'm like, well, fuck, I can't take it with me. If I do die, like, fuck it, like, and then it would like up the stakes for me without really like too much risk. And so I was like, I'll bet you whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? Like, I'll bet you my plane. And I was like, and I'll give you, I think it was like 10-1 or 21. I think it was like, I gave him like, fuck, I think I initially offered him like 20-1 odds, and then we settled at like, I don't know. It ended up being where he would lose $250,000, and I would give him like my plane plus my pilots for, he got my plane, and then I'd pay the pilots for a year. We like had all
But
these.
you had to die.
You had to die. But if I didn't complete the race, then it was like a wash. For me, I'm just like, fuck. It's like, because Rick didn't think I could do it, period, right? So he didn't think there was a possibility that I could do it. And then he thought there was a decent chance that I could die. So for him, he thought he was kind of free rolling. And for me, I was free rolling because it's like, if I die, well, okay, I don't need the fucking plane. It ain't going to take me to hell, right? So like, I'm good. So I made the bet with him. So, and then I bet a little bit on the side with somebody else. So I basically had $1 million on it when I finally ended up doing it. And I got a police escort like through Vegas. So it's so funny because I had like 11 squad cars like blocking off all the intersections. And here comes this fucking dildo on a bicycle, like riding right through it. I'm like, have all the, like, you're expecting like a presidential motorcade to come, or like, somebody, like everybody's like looking to see like what, there's fucking 11 squad cars blocking off every intersection. And here's just this fucking asshole on a bicycle.
Well, a lot of people knew that you were going to do it, but they didn't know when you were going to do it.
Yeah.
So you didn't announce when
I didn't want to announce it because I didn't want people to fuck with me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want fans to like come out and, or people that hated me or anything, right? I just wanted to, this is bad enough as it was. I had to be on the fucking highway. So I ended up leaving from Vegas, and I did it in about 32 hours. Was the
whoa? And what was the bet?
It was 48.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So I just remember because there was because he was giving me some shit about, because I was allowed to draft, but he was saying that the van that I had the doors open. Like, because you had to leave the doors open because I wanted to talk to my coach, and they were like filming it and stuff. So we had the doors open. So he was like bitching. Rick was bitching about that, which was kind of stupid for Rick to bitch about, because that was like what made it the least safe of all was, drafting off a car, because you got to be like 6 inches from this car, and you can't see like shit in the road.
So if they have to slam on the brakes,
you're fucking
fucked.
In the car. You're crashing. Like, and we had times when like there was a there was a time when we were on a fucking 1-lane road, right? And there's 1 lane, and we're in this lane, and there's a lane going this way, and we had a car come to pass us as another car was coming and miss like our van by like inches, and they were doing like 50-60 miles an hour, like cross. If they were to crash, like I would have been dead for sure. Like, it was fucking bad. And so like shit got pretty gnarly some of the spots. I blew out a tire doing like 30 something miles an hour downhill. I mean, it was
Did you rest at all while you're doing this?
Yeah, I slept for like an hour or two, maybe an hour and a half. And then I like stopped to eat, but it was mostly just truck the whole way through.
So you stayed on this like recumbent style bike the whole time?
No, I did half of it on that and half on a road bike. And the second half of it, I did no drafting. I just did a road bike with no drafting.
How come no drafting?
He was bitching about it, and I was just like, fuck it, I don't need it. Like,
he was bitching about it while you were riding? Like,
yeah.
How did he know?
So I'm like
was he there?
Oh yeah, he was following me. So I'm having like arguments with him, and I was just like, it was helpful, but it only helped on like flat, so it doesn't help at all on the uphill. Right? So no uphill, it helps. And on the downhill, I didn't need it because you're going so fucking fast that like you don't really want to be going more than like 30, 40 miles an hour on downhills, because like if you hit shit in the road, like you crash, like you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like if I crashed, like I couldn't finish the thing. So there's that, and there's shit in the road. I mean, I'm on like the side of a highway. There's like tires and nails, and you know what I mean? Like, so you don't really want to be going like, and I couldn't go on the highway because I couldn't get the police escort for the actual highway. The CHP wouldn't do the highway portion of it. So which sucked, because that was like the most dangerous part. So I was in the breakdown lane instead of like actually being in like one of the lanes. So there's just shit in the breakdown lanes, there's like fucking nails and whatever.
And you're doing it at night.
Yeah, it was like pitch black sometimes. We had fucking like high winds. I mean, it was gnarly. It got down to like 34 degrees at one point, plus with the winds. I mean, I had a ski jacket on. I mean, it was fucking...
Were you thinking to yourself, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of those moments in my life, but I was more like thinking like, I just didn't know if I could do it. I just didn't know like physically, because I had just never done any biking. I didn't know if my legs were just gonna like not be able to go anymore. I had no like real experience in it, so I didn't. That was my real concern, was just that like I knew mentally like I was just never gonna quit. I just didn't want to get injured or like just physically not be capable. That was like my two concerns.
This is a video of you doing it.
Watch this. Look at this. Look at these two cars. That was one fucking lane. They just passed each other.
Yeah, that was very close.
That was it. Right there.
38 hours.
No, 32.
32 hours.
Yeah.
So 48 hours is the bet, and you did it in 32. Mm-hmm. How pissed was he when you won?
He actually took it like a champ. He didn't really give a shit. That was pretty crazy. He got a lot of money.
He's a baller.
He is, for sure.
What is this? Is this your house?
That's my house, yeah. Just
pulling up
fucking pull
after
up
it's over?
on the bike, yeah. That's pretty crazy, right?
So
I looked like the Grinch the next day. I was like, green, fuck.
You said the most you won is 51 million? That was the most you've ever
54.
won? 54?
But not in one sitting. That was over a course of 8-9 months.
And that was just you going at it with this one dude?
One dude, yeah.
And you guys playing one-on-one when you're doing shit like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
I remember there was one point where I was sitting there.
That's a granola bar, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that sound?
And I checked my watch. It's been a while. So there was one point when I had $18 million in front of me, and he had me covered. So if he said all in, I had to make a decision for $18 million.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He's a billionaire. He didn't give a fuck.
18 million on a hand.
Go in one hand of poker.
What's the most you've ever had on one hand?
Let's see here. It was 6 million, 12. I think it was like 14 million, 15 million bucks.
Now, obviously, you had to build up to this. Like, at any point in time while you're gambling these ridiculous sums of money, I mean, this is not that long since you were broke. I mean, this is like you going from college to you doing this. You know, we're only talking about a decade or so.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Well, there was periods of time when in poker, I've played with like almost my entire net worth on the table.
Poker players do that kind of shit, though, don't they?
It's stressful. It's crazy. I've had my hair fall out before playing.
Just because you're freaking out?
Just 'cause it's stress, man. You know, like, I mean, there's just so many things that go into it. Like, you're not only thinking about like what that person has, but like what do they think that you think that they have? I mean, the basic stuff is what do you think that they think that you have, and then like the range of hands that they could have. Why would he be betting this? Why would he be calling here? What type of hands could he have? Like, what are the probabilities that he's bluffing? Like, what is his mental state? I mean, like, just trying to pick up on tells. There's just so many things that go into it that you're so focused, and it's so much money, and any little mistake that you make is going to cost you millions of dollars. So it's like that is like a lot, and you're playing for sometimes 16, 17 hours. Like, you're just like delirious. I remember
do you take anything while you're playing? Do you take like Provigil or Adderall or anything?
I took Adderall, and it really fucked me up because I just like tried to win every hand, and it made me like too aggressive, and I just fucking plane crashed into the mountain. It was terrible.
Oh wow!
So I tried that a couple times. No good. Tried weed, and it fucking was terrible. Every time I was bluffing, I was all paranoid. So no. And then sometimes I'm taking like Valium just to fucking relax, you know, because I'm just like strung out. But then that makes you kind of not give a fuck, and so you do stupid shit. You just almost got to be sober.
What about beta blockers?
I never tried them.
I never tried them either. But I saw this thing on concert performers, like pianists, or it was actually some people that playing an orchestra. They were talking about they took beta blockers, and it made a massive impact because they were super nervous about performing. And I always thought about it. I was like, man, that's I guess it just stops you from getting nervous. I would be really curious to see what that feels like.
Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. I've definitely heard of that. I think it's a big thing for actors and stuff like that with stage fright or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just don't know how long it'll last because, like I said, I mean, these are, you know, you're talking about 18-hour sessions, and it's just like, and also you don't want anything to fuck with your like mental acuity.
Yeah.
So
do you study the game? Do you do like study strategy and read poker books? And
I did. You know, I did back in the day, but back in the day it wasn't quite as advanced. Now they have so much stuff online where you can basically watch these pros play. I'll give you an example. Back when I was playing, I would play in college. I played 10 tables at a time, and you'd
Online?
Yeah, and you would see about 100 hands an hour. And let's say I just played for a 10-hour session. So
you're playing 10 tables simultaneously? How do you do that? You have like 10 windows open up?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're going click, 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 all between
Holy
all of
shit.
them, and then sometimes you have multiple monitors set up. And so basically, in that period, if you extrapolate that out, that's, you're seeing 10,000 hands, right, in that 10 hours of sessions, because 100 hands an hour per table times, right, so 10 times 100. So if you play in a casino, you're seeing about 20 hands an hour, and you're obviously only playing one table. So that translates to 200 hands for that day. So of one day playing online, I've seen 10,000 hands. One day playing live, I've seen 200. So you can imagine, one day playing online, I've seen more hands than a guy that's played in a casino for his entire life. Whoa. So just think about those, numbers. And so the thing is, like, when you're playing in a casino, exactly.
Look at this picture. Who's that dude?
Elky.
What's his name?
Elky, Elky.
That's his whole name? Was he like Oprah?
I don't know. Really. he's I think he's a Swedish guy or something like that.
And so he's got 4 giant monitors going on.
Exactly. Like, these guys are playing even more tables. Look at how many they're playing.
That guy's got 12 on each side.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is what it's evolved to. I was like one of the pioneers of this stuff.
Look at this guy. He's got fucking 6 monitors here.
Yeah.
So when you can't do this in America anymore, correct? Like it used to be, you could gamble online.
It stopped. I think Black Friday was in 2009. Was it? Maybe?
That's fucked too. Why not? Why not? Why can't you
it's
gamble
total
online?
bullshit. It's a game of skill. Clearly, they allowed the fantasy because it's a game of skill. And yeah, I think it's nonsense. I don't really care because I wouldn't be playing online anymore because I can't compete with these kids. They've just put too much time in. And the thing is, now there's so much software that does so much for them. Like, for instance, it'll tell you how many hands each person plays pre-flop, what percentage of the time they bet the flop, what percentage of the time they bluff, and they can just figure that out based on like how often they're going to have a hand and how often they bluff. So it'll actually give you their bluff percentages on each street, on the flop, the turn, the river, and it'll tell you like how many times they're just like calling bad. Like, it'll just give you all these stats. So it's almost more turned into like a mathematical computer game, whereas I like the more pure form of just like, I'm looking the guy in the fucking eye and, just trying to figure out what he's got. And, you're also playing the player. Like, when you're playing live, like, for me, I can calculate how much money a guy has very fast. I can figure out like his comfort level with bluffing. I can figure out the type of guy he is, whether or not he's aggressive, whether or not he's the type of guy that when he's winning, he's going to want to lock it up, or the type of guy that when he's winning, he's going to gamble more, the type of guy that when he's losing, he's going to kind of play a lot more hands and try and, get even, or the type of guy that's going to just like try and wait for a big hand, the type of guy that's going to be just calling his money, chasing, trying to get lucky, the kind of guy that's going to be pushing the action and betting a lot. Like, there's just so many things that go into it that, I like to just, play live, and I like to talk to people, and I like to, have that human interaction. There's a lot of these guys that are really good behind a computer, but you put them in front of another guy, you can't look a man in the eye and just fucking, bluff. You just like crumble, So online they can click that button and say all in and do these crazy bluffs, but, they just physically can't like push those chips in and keep a straight face on a table. So,
so there's something going on when you're looking at them. There's a certain amount of like I said, I've never played poker, so there is a certain amount of intuition and instinct.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not like in the movies where it's like, oh, like I picked up a tell on this guy, and every time he bluffs, he twitches, or you know what I mean? Like that's a very rare thing. It's more just like understanding the person. It's like you figure out what kind of job this guy does, like how much money he makes a year, like how much this money means to him, how much he cares about the money, how much he wants to gamble, how much he's playing for fun, how much he wants to win. Some of these guys, they actually want to lose. They're just like self-sabotagers. They'll go in there and like some of them, I'll see them and they'll want to lose because they'll want everybody at the table to like them, and that's kind of like, the path of least resistance. I've seen
really.
it all.
How do you detect that? Like, how do you detect that a guy wants to lose?
He'll be just like wanting to be friends with everybody, and he'll do shit to show off or to like, make, because I mean, look, at the end of the day, like people want people to play bad, right? Like you want a player to play like shit. You want a player to give his money away. You want a player to, do crazy stuff. So these guys will, they'll put on a show for people. They'll want to be the popular guy. Maybe they weren't cool in high school. Maybe they want people to like them. Who knows what their reason is? Maybe they feel like they don't deserve the money. I've played with a lot of guys that, some of them ended up in jail. Some of them were frauds. Some of them were cheats. Some of these guys, they have a bunch of money and they feel like they don't deserve it subconsciously. So they'll just want to give it away. It's just like a weird thing.
Oh, that's interesting. And do you see a lot of guys who just lose everything?
I've seen it before, yeah. I've seen guys go completely broke. It's tough because in gambling, you can just keep going up, but you can't really go down. It's like, for instance, if you go and you play blackjack and you bet whatever, arbitrary number, $500 a hand, right? And you're playing $500 a hand, and your level of excitement when you win is at a 7, and you keep playing and whatever, and then now you go and play $1,000 a hand, and you've been winning a little bit, or you've been losing or whatever, and now if you try and go back to 500 or 250, it's just like if you're losing, it's just like it's a mental fuck because it's really hard to get even betting smaller. And if you've been winning, you don't really care about the small money, right? Like you want to win more. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where like once you go up, it's really hard to go the other direction. So a lot of the problems that professional poker players have, it's called bankroll management, where they keep going up and up and up. And then when they start losing, they are completely unable to drop down in stakes and then play good. Like if they lost, let's say, $100,000, just to use round numbers, at this game, then for them to go to play a game that's half that size and try and win that 100,000 back, it's going to take them twice as much time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things where, and the games have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. So somebody goes on a bad run, like, and poker's their profession. It's not like, that's another thing that people don't understand. It's like, people are like, oh, you're winning, like you should take the money and run. It's like, no, like when you play poker for a living, like it never ends. Like it's like, yeah, there may be session to session, but like you're always going to be playing poker. So it's like, if that's a good spot, you should just play until the game's over. Like even if you won, it's not like blackjack where you should just lock up a win. Like in poker, you just stay there. And in fact, the more you're winning, the more other people are losing. And the more other people are losing, the worse they're going to play. So it's kind of like one of those things where you just, it's just one long session. It never ends,
How pissed do people get when they lose fuck tons of money? Have you ever had issues with that? Where people get violent or people get angry?
Definitely angry. And it's funny because, and I'm a victim of this too. Like I've found sometimes I've gotten far more angry at losing $20,000 than I have at losing $500,000. As strange as that may sound, just because of the way I lost it, or if I played shitty, or if I lost it to a guy I didn't like, or it was just like I lost, and just like a steady progression of losses. Or if I was up a ton of money and then let's say I was up $1 million and ended up losing 20,000, like I'd be fucking miserable, even though I only lost 20 grand. But let's say I was down $1 million and I ended up losing 20,000. I'd be ecstatic. Now look at the end result. One night I won 20 grand and I was miserable, and the other night I lost 20 grand and I was happy. Right?
Yeah.
Because I started off up $1 million and then ended up being a $20,000 winner. Like that seems like $1 million loss to me, because at one point in that game I was up $1 million, right?
Right.
So mentally, I kind of like in my mind I've lost $1 million, and then in the other game I was down $1 million and then ended up only losing 20,000, so I almost broke even. So I'm like ecstatic. You know what I'm saying? So there's
also something you were just talking about that I think is really interesting, because it kind of parallels martial arts and fighting in a lot of ways, is that you don't want to lose to someone that you hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big factor in fighting. That's why Conor McGregor does so well, is that he fucks with your head so bad that the amount of pressure that's on you is so exacerbated when you actually get into the cage with him. Like even guys like Jose Aldo, who's this seasoned world champion who never lost in the UFC.
How did that happen?
And hey, Conor just mind fucked him. And he can punch. I mean, it's both things. He's got skill and He's really good at handling pressure, and he's the mind fuck master. But you see it with guys. When guys get in these emotional situations with fighters, and then you see when they fight with someone who respects them and they shake hands at the weigh-ins, and then they could fight up to their full potential.
Yeah.
Like that is a big factor, I guess, in poker as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've seen tons of times when somebody really hates another player and in fact like has just played far worse against that guy and given that guy so much money because they like kept going after him. You know, they really wanted to bluff him. They're like, fuck this motherfucker. I'm not going to let this guy bluff me. And then they ended up just like paying him off and paying him off and paying him off. I actually found that in poker because there was times when I would befriend really bad players and then that player would not play hard against me, you know, because of that. And it actually ended up like costing me a bunch of money. And then there was other times when I would just like talk shit to a bad player and they would really come after me. And then I ended up just smoking them, you know? So it's kind of like, it's tough because usually the bad players are the coolest guys because they're just like the rich guys that are having fun and they got a good attitude and this and that. But sometimes, you know, like you got to fuck with them a little bit, you know, because otherwise you're not going to be able to gamble with them really, you know? So you want that kind of like, optimally, you want that competitive but semi-friendly relationship because you don't want them to just totally hate you because then they'll just be like, fuck this motherfucker, I'm not playing if he's there. And then you're kind of like out of the game because he's the big sucker and, you know, he can call the shots.
Well, it just seems like such a psychological management thing with poker players.
There's a lot, man. Yeah, it seems on the surface like an easy thing to do.
No, it doesn't.
But I feel like for a lot of people, they look at it and they're just like, oh, he gambles for a living, like he got lucky or he's just like good with numbers. You know, they break it down so simplistically that they don't realize like how difficult it is.
But isn't that the case with everything?
I mean,
I've heard people say that about NASCAR. Like, oh, they just turn left. Like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Well, NASCAR. I think that the closest comparison is with the stock market. Like stockbrokers, stock market stuff, you know, because they're really gambling. I mean, at the end of the day, that is kind of gambling, and you know, and they're going to have losses. The thing, the parallel there is that you can go into work, you can fucking do a good job, bust your ass, do everything right, and then just get fucked because of bad luck. That can't happen to a doctor, really.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that can't happen with most professions. Like, even in fighting, like, even the loser gets paid, right? You don't go into a fight and lose money if you lose, right? Like, poker and the stock market are some of the few things that, like, it's kind of hard to really have that good bankroll management because you can go in, do everything right, bust your ass, and work for an entire month and lose money.
But that is where the thrill lies to the common man. The average person that plays it safe and takes it easy and gets his 401k and doesn't do anything risky. That's where the thrill lies in that lifestyle. Like talking to you and hearing you talk about this shit, that's where people they're getting their palms are sweaty right now and they're driving to work and they're listening to this and thinking, could I do that? Could I do that? Could I do that? Most people can't.
Most people cannot. It's one of the hardest things I've done, and I've done a lot of hard things just because for me doing physically hard things actually isn't like as challenging as mentally tough things. If that makes any sense, because the physically tough stuff, you just kind of like just fucking bite your tongue and grit and fucking take the pain and just power through. Like,
well, that's got to be one of the benefits of going through buds twice.
Yeah, I mean, it puts it in perspective.
Yeah, I mean, just you've been through way more of a hellacious physical test than most people could ever endure.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, like, you know, you must be a super tough motherfucker and all this other shit. And I think it comes down more to just like how bad you want it. Like in life, like if you just want something so fucking bad, like I just remembered like when I was doing the 50-meter underwater swim, it was really hard for me. I'd never been able to do it outside of, you know, SEAL training. And the only 2 times I did it was when I like had to do it. And I just remembered, I was just like, well, I'm just going to swim until I fucking reach the wall or black out. Like there just wasn't another option. Like I just wasn't going to quit just because I wanted it so bad. So that actually helps you. I remember there's one guy that went into buds and he was he had like $1 million business. I think it was the guy that like owned Van Dutch or something maybe, or had some like affiliation with it. And I just remember.
And then he went into Buds after that.
I just remember he showed up and he had like a hot chick or 2 hot chicks and he had a sports car, and everybody's just like, fuck, this dude's a stud. You know what I mean? Like it was like, and then he like showed up at Buds and ended up like quitting like straight away. And I was just like, but it didn't surprise me because I'm like thinking, you know, if I don't make it, I'm going to ship and I'm gonna be fucking miserable. Like I don't want that. Like this guy's thinking like if I quit, I can go like fuck a bunch of girls and like drive nice cars and I got money. Like you know what I'm saying? So like for him, it was like I actually think it's harder. You know, like because you look at like you know what your alternatives are. You know, like. You know, if you put a fucking guy up against the wall and he's got no choice, then he's just gonna like do what he's got to do. Like for instance, if I told you had to go crawl, you know, 50 miles, or I'm gonna fucking put a bullet in your head, like you're probably gonna go crawl that 50 miles. But if I told you, hey, like I'm gonna give you $500,000. You know, if you can go crawl these 50 miles, but, you know, you got money and you don't really need it, you're probably not going to crawl 50 miles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it's kind of like one of those things. It's just like the alternative is what determines the difficulty.
Well, that's that great scene in Officer and a Gentleman. Remember Richard Gere?
Yeah.
Where he's I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. And that's exactly it.
I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
That's one thing I tell people when they're thinking about fighting. I say, is it all you want to do? Is it your whole life? Does it absorb you? Do you want that more than anything that you can imagine? It's not like, well, if fighting doesn't work out, I'm going to be an author. Because if that's the case and you want to do it for the experience, that's cool. But if you actually think you're going to be a champion, if you have all these other escape routes, it's not going to happen.
That's why I actually think it's harder for guys like Conor McGregor or guys like Mayweather, because now they have money and they have that lifestyle, and it's like that. I actually thought Ronda was going to get fucked up just because she was going to Hollywood. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's tough, she's fucking great, whatever. But you know, she was like she's doing the movies and she's doing this, and it's like I know that lifestyle and I know the addictiveness of the money and the fame and all that other stuff. And now it's like these people that have been fucking, you know, living in a 1-bedroom apartment are now introduced to all this money and all this fame and people. And it's so distracting as opposed to the guy that's like, you know, fucking waking up every day and going to the gym and fucking busting his ass and just trying to make ends meet. And that's all he's got. And he's got nowhere else to go, like you said, you know.
Yeah.
And for that guy, I feel like it's far easier to stay the course. For a guy like Conor McGregor, now he's got all this money and this and that, you know, he doesn't have to fight anymore. Like I mean, yeah, he like if he wants to continue his lifestyle, he does, right? Now he's like upped his expenses and his image and all this stuff, and he's used to all this stuff, so now he has to like make X to maintain his current situation. So he's got a little bit of pressure on him in that sense. But he's not struggling. He's not hungry anymore. You know what I mean? He's got the
Depends
belt.
on who you are, though. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has a different motivation. Some people, it's not even like they change the goalposts. Instead of becoming rich, it's become the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
It's like you look at all these other guys that are nipping at your heels and you decide, no, motherfuckers, I am the man at the top of the mountain, and I'm going to stay at the top of the mountain as long as my body hangs in there.
Yeah.
But again, it's like that has to be something that you want to do. Mm-hmm. And you could see the shift. I see the shift in guys where they all of a sudden they do it for money and they start doing it for a living. You see that shift, and it's an ugly shift because they just don't have the same tenacity.
I feel like I see it a lot in like NFL and stuff like that.
I'm sure.
You
I
know,
mean, you probably get tired of getting your fucking bell rang too, man.
Yeah.
You get tired of bang, bang, clashing heads with people and running into each other. After a while, that shit gets tired.
Yeah, I remember there's a big basketball player, and he would play poker, and it was funny because he would go on these benders and he would play for like 24 hours straight, or sometimes I just remember we just always bet against him. And he was like a big like basketball player, like he was like the star on the team or whatever. And so we would just like always bet against like whatever team he was playing. If he had been playing poker for 24 or 48 hours, we'd just bet against the other team. We were right like almost every time. Like he just like always played like shit.
Probably exhausted.
Yeah, fuck yeah. It's like mentally exhausting. He's not sleeping. You don't eat. It's just like it's just hard on your body. You secrete the cortisone or whatever, cortisol levels that got to go up. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's tough. I mean,
What's that balancing act? I think in anything in life, but especially in risky things, whether it's playing poker or fighting or anything along those lines, something that's really difficult to do. There's this weird balancing act, and you have to achieve this this perfect balance of motivation, reward, intensity, focus, discipline, but still pleasure. You can't be miserable forever. Like, there's got to be a time where you have fun too.
It's hard. I mean, like I said, I think it just comes down to like, you just got to want it. You know, you just got to fucking just want it really bad.
Well, there was some study recently that I was reading about where they were talking about how you can't be happy all the time. And you don't want to be happy all the time. Like, literally, you won't achieve the same levels of happiness all the time if you're not miserable. Like, you don't ever hit those highs unless you hit those lows. Like, you ever been around someone who's manic? You ever date a chick who's manic?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like, the sweet is never as sweet without the bitter. And it's like, and I've found that, I actually have an interesting outlook on that because I bought pleasure for so long. You can't buy happiness. You can buy pleasure, though. You know, a lot of people say, like, oh, money isn't happiness. Well, money can buy a boat, and a boat will make me fucking happy, that kind of thing. Right? So an example I like to give is, you know, when I was 16, like, my dream car was a Mustang Cobra, right? So if I got a Mustang Cobra, I would have been at a 10, right? But, you know, a Ferrari would also bring me to a 10. I mean, but you can't go higher than a 10, right? So let's just say that I got... the Ferrari when I was 16, and now we flash forward, I graduate college, and my dad gives me let's say he gives me a BMW M5. If I had the Ferrari, now I'm going to be kind of like probably at a 7, right? Because I'm stepping down in a car. But if I had the Mustang Cobra and now I'm going to an M5, I'm going to be back at a 10. Well, it's the same car. You're the same person. You're at the same spot in life. The only difference is your perspective because of your previous experience.
Right.
You know, so it's kind of like, when, you know, people ask like why rich people aren't as happy, and I just think it's because they've upped the bar so far that only the, you know, best things satisfy them. Like a guy off the street, if I took, like when I got out of boot camp, I'll use that as an example. I go to Outback Steakhouse, I'm at a 10, right? Now, if I go to the best restaurant in the fucking world, I mean, I'm like maybe at like a 6 or a 7. I'm just like satisfied. I got 3 chefs. Like I eat the best food all the time. You know what I mean? So like that doesn't make me happy anymore. Like if somebody bought me a Lamborghini, I'd be like, whatever. Like I've had them. I don't care. Like, but if you get, you know, give it to a guy off the street, he'd be at a 10. So I can't buy happiness anymore. You know what I mean? I bought every fucking thing that I ever wanted, right? There's not really anything that I want. So I can't buy any like pleasure. And also, if you gave me like a regular car or put me in a regular hotel, I would actually be at like below the normal level, whereas a normal person would be like happy to be on a vacation. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that has like some correlation. Like, it's kind of like a guy that wins a lotto. Like a year later, he is like statistically less happy than a guy that got his leg fucking amputated a year prior. You know?
Yes, that's interesting. It's also, I think, what are you trying to do? Like, there are a lot of people that are trying to get rich because they think that once they get rich, they'll be happy.
Yeah.
They think that that's going to give them this thing that they've always been missing. And so they've been working hard, busting their ass, and they look at all these other people like we're talking about. You know, you land your private jet, you drive your Bentley to the club, and everybody's like, oh, it's Dan Bilzerian. You want to be that guy, right? But once you're that guy, it's like that doesn't mean anything anymore. And then for a lot of people, there's this emptiness. There's nothing left to chase. There's nothing else to do, and your life is just about possessions and upping the ante. And now I got to get a yacht, and now I have to get the biggest yacht. Now I got to buy an island.
Yeah.
You know, and trying to find something to fill that void because you've sort of set your life up to chase these material goals instead of to try to find out what actually does make you happy.
Yeah, you have to have goals, and you have to have stuff that, like, you know, you got to be climbing the mountain, because at the end of the day, like, climbing the mountain is far more satisfying than being at the top of the mountain, you know? Like,
isn't that weird, though? That's like not what we've ever been taught.
Well, it's counterintuitive because most people don't like get that. They just know that, like, okay, like, you know, my dad told me, like, it's better to give than receive. And I was like, okay, that's perfect, motherfucker. You can just give me shit and I'll receive it and I'll be happy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but you don't have it. If you don't have it, then that makes sense.
Well, yeah, exactly. And like, you know, it just people, I mean, it's just experience. Like, I mean, like, from the time you're a little kid, you get something, you're happy. Like, you know, you get a boat, you're happy. Like, if I have this bike, I'm gonna be happy. And it's true and it works, you know what I mean? But there's a point, you almost have to like get really rich to understand that. You really have to just buy all that shit, realize, okay, like I got it all. It's cool. That made me happy, but it's temporary. You know, that's what that's kind of where I differentiate the happiness and the pleasure. You know, you can buy the pleasure, but the pleasure is somewhat short lived. You know.
Yeah, I had a conversation with someone about this recently where I was saying that material possessions, once you have enough money to acquire basically everything you want, they don't mean anything anymore. So they don't mean anything. You can enjoy them when you have them, but if you lose them, it's really not that big a deal. You know, if you get an Escalade and some fucking meteor hits your Escalade and you go out there, oh, just get another Escalade. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. But if that was all you had and you had to save and scrape up your money to get that Escalade and you kept it clean, then it got hit by a meteor, you'd be devastated.
Yeah.
Once you have achieved this level of success where material possessions don't mean anything anymore, then you can kind of like say, okay, well, what do I enjoy? Camaraderie, friendship, creativity. Like, what is it that I'm actually chasing? Because I remember talking to this Buddhist monk. I did this thing once where I went to all these different religions. It was for this TV show, and I interviewed all these different people and asked them, like, what is it about your religion that's the best? Like, say if I was going to join your religion, you'd try to sell me your religion.
Yeah, sell me.
And the Buddhist guy was saying that sex and all these material possessions, they possess you. And that to be completely free, you have to be abstinent and you have to be free of material possessions. I said, well, why? I go, what if you achieve a level of success where you don't worry about those things anymore? And they don't contain you. They don't hold you. You're not a prisoner of them because you're really not worried about them. Like, if all you had was this one thing and that one thing was taken from you, that would be devastating. And that's what this is based on. Mm-hmm. But what if you had unlimited resources? If you were Richard Branson or someone like you or whatever, when it's not an issue. Then those material possessions no longer possess you. But this guy didn't want to look at it that way. Like, he didn't want to think that was ever possibly an option. I'm like, well, it's not an option because you don't think it's possible to achieve that level of material possession or that material success.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. I feel like you have to get to that place to understand it. You know, it's kind of like...
But try telling that to anybody who's listening to this.
Yeah.
Like 99.9% of people listening to this are never going to make a fraction of the amount of money that you've earned.
Yeah, but, you know... in some ways that is a blessing because they're going to have a lifetime of being able to buy that pleasure too because of that, you know, because if you start here on this lower rung, then all those little purchases and stuff like that, you're still like, you're kind
enjoying
of
the shit out of them.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, so their baseline is just lower.
Right. They get a new fishing rod, they're fucking pumped.
Exactly. You know, and when that wears off, then they're going to, you know, get a new reel. And, you know, when that wears off, they're going to, you know, buy a new depth finder. What, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's the little shit, that little shit, if it makes them happy, then that's okay. But
to the people listening to this right now, they're thinking, okay, well, you're equating material possessions and the acquisition of these material possessions as being the thing that makes people happy. Now, is this because you've got 15 bitches and you're flying around on, you know, private jets and yachts and you're lacking like real depth to you? You're a smart guy. You're not a dumb guy. So I don't think that that's the case. I think you're having a lot of fun and you're doing a lot of wild, crazy shit, but I don't think you're lacking in depth.
Yeah, no, I am just trying to fully experience everything that I wanted to experience. And there's also a part of me that's, you know, kind of doing some wish fulfillment, some part of me that's overcompensating for lack of things, you know, that I had, you know, childhood wise or when I was growing up or that I wanted or whatever it was. It's basically just like kind of like whatever I wanted when I was younger or whatever I placed emphasis on, I kind of like just over exaggerated and beat it into the fucking dirt. So then now I can move on and do something else. Like my life, you know, I have ADD. So for me, it's like hyper focus.
Is that even real?
I think it is. I think it is. And I think a lot of successful people have it. And I think what it allows you to do is when you are focused on something and when you have that like pinpoint focus, you can be extremely successful. But when you don't, you're just scattered all over the fucking map and you can't, you know, accomplish anything. I mean, you're just like, and I think a lot of kids have it nowadays because of the stimulus. I think you have so much stimulus at your fingertips nowadays that these kids, if they're not, I guess what I'm trying to say is that people are just overstimulated and because they have it at their fingertips all the time, like when I was a kid, like we used to just like have to entertain ourselves. We used to have to just like go out and play, you know, and just like figure out shit to do. And so we didn't need massive amounts of stimulus. Nowadays, if kids don't have a fucking video game and a movie playing at the same time, they're bored and three other friends to talk to. You know, so it's
they're hanging out and they're constantly checking their phone. They're not even looking at each other.
No, yeah, and I'm victim of it too. You know, it's crazy. You'll be in a social setting and there'll be 5-6 people at a table and they'll all be on their phones, and it's just like it's kind of sad that we've been reduced to that level of interaction where it's just like it's just all electronic, and people, you know, like, I mean, when people call people nowadays, it's just like, wait, what the fuck? Like, why are you calling me? Like back when we were kids, like there wasn't even texting, you know, it was like flip phones. Like now it's like if somebody calls you, it's like, wait, what the fuck? Like, you know.
I have one friend, Joey Diaz. We never text each other, ever. He might have texted me once. I was like, what the fuck is going on? All we do is call. He goes, I don't like to text. He goes, I like to call. I want to hear your voice. I'm insecure. I want to know you love me. Like he wants to talk to you on the phone. Yeah. I think that's, we're definitely missing something. We're definitely missing something by all this electronic shit. But it's also like a new style of living, and I'm sure humans will adjust eventually. We'll figure out how to manage it or change accordingly.
The one positive thing I think is just that you're so connected. You know, I feel like everybody's more connected now. Like back, you know, when we were kids, like, you know, a guy in Idaho is never going to fucking, you know, feel any connection whatsoever with somebody that's, you know, in California. But now, like, that guy can upload a YouTube video and everybody around the world can see it. And people are just, you know, dating wise, social media wise, like whatever, there is more connection. I mean, I feel like it's not quite as real and it's not as tangible, but, and people I think are also losing their ability to kind of like interact. Like my older friends, like we'll sit around, we'll tell stories, and it's like we'll have fun. And it's like the younger generation, when you watch them interact, it's almost like comical. It's like these people, they're like socially awkward. Like people don't know how to like approach girls anymore. It's just like, and the whole thing's been like reduced to like online dating. It's just, you know, it's a new world for sure. I mean, I don't know.
It is a new world, but what I found really fascinating is that, because I travel a lot doing stand-up, is that there's no dumb places anymore. Like you can go to, you know, fill in the blank, some place in the middle of the Midwest, Boise, Idaho, or whatever, and you'll do a show there, and the fucking people are on the ball. They know what the fuck's going on. They're so much more informed. When I used to travel on the road in the 90s, when I used to do stand-up in the 90s, and, you know, fly into Ohio fly into some place in the middle of the country, those fucking people were apes. I mean, they didn't know anything. They were like, what's it like to be on an airplane? I mean, they fucking didn't know anything. No one. But now it's like you run into the same kind of people in L.A. that you can run into in, you know, fill in the blank, you know, Phoenix or whatever, wherever the fuck it is. There's no dumb cities anymore.
Yeah.
You're still going to find some dumb people, but I think overall the awareness level of people has changed.
And I think that's, you know, a lot due to the internet. You know,
100%.
Just that access. I mean, when I was a kid, if I wanted to know something, my mom's like, okay, look it up in the Encyclopedia Britannica. And I'm like, fuck that. You know, like, I'm not going to do that. And we literally would have, like, hundreds of encyclopedias around the thing, and you know, we thought that was great. But now it's like, you want to know something, you Google it and you just instantly know it. Like
you don't even have to press it, you just talk into your phone.
You don't have to type,
you know.
You just ask Siri. It's like so crazy.
Google Cold Fusion, blip, just shows you instantaneously. I mean, it's so freaky that they didn't even think about it in Star Trek or Star Wars. None of those places had the internet. None of those visions of science fiction in the future had the internet. I think it's going to be, when history is all said and done, when people look back in this era, it's going to be one of the biggest changes in the human race ever. And we're in the middle of it. It's a storm, and we're just caught up in it. And like you were talking about when you were saying how you're so wealthy and it's just normal. It just becomes normal to you to have all this money, and someone gives you a Lamborghini. It's normal. Well, this wealth of information is normal to us. It just seems normal. You know, and, you know, my kids are young. They're growing up with the internet their whole life. They've never experienced anything but the internet. So it's, to them, they're not going to know how weird it was to run into bullshit artists.
Yeah.
You know, people just lied about stuff. Like, you couldn't Google them, you know?
Now you can just, like, if you want to know about somebody, you fucking Google them, and it's like, okay, this guy's a scam artist. This chick's a hooker. It's just like, you just got their life story. It's like, bam, like Wikipedia. I mean, whatever. It's just, it's kind of crazy.
Before we did the podcast, we started talking about psychedelics, and you started talking about some psychedelic experiences that you had, and I said, like, save it, because I wanted to talk to you about it on the air. So tell me what has happened.
I mean, you actually are the one that turned me on to it, the DMT. The first time I tried it, I was at Burning Man, and I smoked a small amount of it. And it was interesting. I felt like it was a pretty enlightening experience. I tried it a second time. We had this.
When you say small amount, like how many hits?
Just one.
Oh, okay.
Just one. So I was, I wasn't like deep in it or anything.
She just got to the doorway, took a look inside.
Yeah, and I don't know. I felt like a little bit of sense of peace and clarity, But that was all I really got from it. The second time, I did not have a good experience. I had this shaman monk come over, and he, or priest or whatever you call him, and I don't know if we did too much, but I just didn't really get too much out of it. I actually got more out of it after, but during the experience, it was just too much. I didn't really get anything. Like, it was just almost like
overwhelming.
Yeah, it was just overwhelming. Where it was almost like a video game kind of is the best way I'd describe it. Where I just like kind of almost seemed like everything was kind of like separating apart,
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't really get too much. And then the third time I had a similar experience, but that was just the smoking. I haven't done ayahuasca or anything like that. I did mushrooms 3 times. It's funny. I had a couple. So the first time I did mushrooms, I think I was in high school, and I just never forget because it was like 1:30 in the morning or whatever, and I just wanted to call all my friends and tell them how great it was and have conversation. I remember them picking up the phone like, dude, it's 1:30, fuck off, But I was just like, I wanted to talk to everybody. I was having a good time, and then I did it in Amsterdam. I got sick, and it was funny because I actually did it 4 times. The third time I did it, we were in Amsterdam, and we were walking down this long alleyway, and we were probably about 75 yards down the alleyway, and a buddy of mine was like, give me a second, and we kept walking, and we turned around about 5 seconds later, 10 seconds later, and he was gone. And it was probably like a 200-yard alleyway. I mean, this guy was fucking Ben Johnson. He couldn't have made it. It was like a long, long alleyway. Like, if he was in a dead sprint, he was the fastest guy in the world. He couldn't have made it to the end. And there was no ladders, no nothing. And we're just like, what the fuck happened to this dude? We're just like, and nobody, and we haven't even really like started tripping, but we're like, we like thought this dude got abducted by aliens. There was like no explanation, right? We like turn around and we're just like, we all looked at each other like, what the fuck happened? And we knew these mushrooms were going to hit soon, so we're just like, but we didn't feel it. We're like, the mushrooms ain't hit. We just ate it like, 5, 10, whatever, and it hadn't hit. Walked around the corner, and there was a police station. We're like, oh shit, like, I guess we should ask them. And like, we went in there and we're like, we don't know what happened to our friend. Like, we don't know if he got abducted or whatever. And we're like, he looks like this. And so there's this long alleyway, right? And this motherfucker chose the one spot to piss where apparently there was like a secret door that opened inward into the police station, and there was a camera facing down on it, and he was pissing on the door of the police station. They grabbed him mid-piss, his dick still out, yanked him into the fucking police station and threw him in jail. And so we get this information. We're like, oh, fuck, like, what do we got to do? Like, we got to pay this guy. Like, we're like, this dude never done mushrooms before. His first experience, he's going to be in a jail in Amsterdam. This guy's might gonna fucking lose his mind. Like, we got to get him out. So we ended up paying these people, and then like, I forget, we had to pay them a lot because I was in college. I remember it was like a significant amount of money for us, but we bailed them out. And then I remember I offered like the chick at the counter. I was like, I'll give you $100 if you'll mail this to his parents, or the video of him pissing and getting arrested if you mail it to his parents. It's like, get the fuck out of here. And so that was number 3. And then the 4th time I did it, I was in, it was that trip that I took to Puerto Vallarta. And when I took my buddy that won he got second in the World Series of Poker. And I'll never forget it because I was downstairs, and we had this big villa on the edge of a cliff, and I remember not wanting to have sex, and I was just like, this is the greatest thing for the first time. Like, my dick doesn't control me. Like, this is so nice to just be able to like relax and not like, because we had all these chicks running around. I was like banging them the whole weekend. I was like, to just not even like have to like think about it because I have no desire to have sex right now. I remember having that thought and being like, wow, this is great. And I'm so fucked up that I like took that as a personal challenge to like see if I could have sex. I'm fucking this girl for like 40 minutes.
On mushrooms.
On mushrooms. It was the craziest fucking experience ever. I didn't even really enjoy it that much. But I just remember at the end of it, I was like, wow, like you had this opportunity where like you were not consumed with like wanting to have sex and you completely fucking ruined it for no reason.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but
the first time I had a mushroom trip, I was with my friend Eddie, and we were near a mountain. It was like a very high hill. We were below it, and we were laying down in the grass, just laughing and giggling. And I don't know if you've ever been like lying down, looking up at a mountain range, and you see the sky and the clouds go overhead. It was the first time I think in my life that I really took in the concept of an atmosphere, of the shape of the earth being round, and that behind that atmosphere, I'm looking up at this blue sky, it's beautiful, but I didn't see the blue sky anymore. I saw it, I knew it was there, but I realized that it's just this layer, and then beyond that is the vast infinity of space. And I remember looking at it and thinking for the first time, because of this hill, I could see, like, I'm like, oh my God, we're like in a convertible spaceship. Like this whole thing is a spaceship. Like this is an illusion. We're standing here like we're on ground. We're laying down on the grass, looking up at the sky. But this is not sky. This is a thin layer of atmosphere that's protecting you from space. And then above that there's no end to it. And it fucking stuck in my head, that idea, like for the very first time. And it's something about being below a mountain and lying down and looking up and seeing the mountain and seeing the air and seeing the clouds go, where it just set into my mind like, whoa, that's an atmosphere. This isn't just the sky. This is like, so from that moment on, I can look up at a mountain now and I get this like weird, almost like half trippy feeling.
that's one thing that I've heard actually about a lot of psychedelics is that it not like it doesn't like rewire you, but it just makes you think about certain things differently. And I think that they explained it. There's like some chemical thing where it kind of like almost like resets you to like where you can have a new perspective on certain things. That's one of the things that I was considering doing acid at Burning Man this last year. Because I've heard from a lot of people that it's like it's a more like clean form of the mushrooms, and they kind of like got more out of it. And I had like 10 people tell me that it was like the best experience of their life, and so that's like a pretty strong statement to have 10 people tell you that. So
yeah, I did it this year for the first time. It's I don't know. Someone wouldn't say it's like it's powerful. I mean, they're all amazing. They all have their own little thing that goes on with them. But the changing of perspective is really beneficial to people that have addictions. Mm-hmm. Like apparently people that smoke cigarettes, like they'll have a powerful mushroom trip and they don't have any desire to smoke cigarettes anymore. It's a really common experience. Drug addicts, and even people that probably have other weird addictions, like gambling addictions or sex addictions. Like
like I said, I think I had a small experience like that with the sex thing on the mushrooms, and it was like pretty liberating.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people, they get trapped in the momentum of the life that they're in, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes psychedelic trips, or, sometimes for people, it's just a near-death experience. You almost drown, or you don't drown. You get out of there, and you're like, holy shit, I got to rethink my whole life. And it just changes who you are, like the reset.
Yeah, I mean, I've preached this for a long time. I think just so much of your life is just perspective. I mean, it really is. And I a lot of times I have these crazy parties. I'll invite disabled veterans out or whatever and try and show them a good time. And this one time I had this one guy who got both his legs blown off in Afghanistan, and super cool dude, like really humble, nice guy. And there was this like super hot chick that was at the party, and I really wanted to fuck her, but I was just like, I'll see if I can get her to fuck him. And I paid her a fucking ton of money, which is kind of fucked up. She ended up fucking this guy, and I was fucked up, and I ended up passing out, and I forgot about it. And the next day we're sitting there at breakfast, and I was just like, I was so fucking miserable. And I look over at this dude, and I'm just like, like, what the fuck are you so happy? He's like smiling and eating his shit, and I was like, I'm hungover. I'm like, what the fuck are you so happy about? He's like, shit, man. He's like, I feel great. I'm like, you're not hungover? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't give a shit though. And I'm just like, dude, I gotta ask you, man. I'm like, you got the fucking best attitude. I was like, since you've been here, I was like, you've always been fucking positive. I was like, is that ever like, did you ever have moments where you're just like fucking depressed about, the fucking amputation or any of that stuff? I was like, does that fuck with you? I was like, how do you maintain such a good attitude? I was like, I think it's amazing. And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, losing my leg is the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'll just never forget it because that statement was just like so like different from what I ever expected this guy to say, right? And he followed it up with, if that never happened to me, he's like, I'd be over in fucking some sand pit in Afghanistan. I'd just be another number and nobody'd give a shit about me. He goes, and then when I came home, he's like, I'd just be, a fucking military guy and everybody in my town wouldn't care. And he's like, now he's like, I go and I motivate people and I give these speeches. He goes, and people look up to me and I'm inspiring people. He's like, and I get to do cool shit. I just got a fucking brand new rifle the other week for free. He goes, the military's paying me. He goes, I'm fucking partying here with you. I fucked a super hot chick last night. And then I remembered, I was like, oh, that's good. And then it was just like funny though, because like his whole thought process about it was so great. And I could just see how another guy, if that happened to him, could easily like get into like the woe is me and the whole like, fuck this, I'm depressed and, think about it all the time. Like, how could this have gone, but this guy just like accepted it, fucking charged with it. And I was just like, he viewed it as like a huge positive. And I thought that was great. I don't know if you've ever seen, they got this YouTube thing. It's like the story of the Chinese farmer. You ever seen that?
No.
So he loses his horse, and everybody in the town comes over, and they say, "Oh, well, that's terrible." And he's like, and they're like, "Oh, well, that's terrible now, isn't it?" And he's like, "Maybe." And then the next day, 7 wild horses come back, and they all come over, and they say, "Oh, well, that's great." And he says, "Well, maybe." And the next day, his kid is taking out one of the wild horses and breaks his leg, and the whole town comes over, and they say, "Oh, well, that's terrible now, isn't it?" He says, "Maybe." The next day, the conscription officers come over and they're, taking people into the military to go fight. And they pass by his son because he's got a broken leg. And the whole town comes over and they say, "Oh, well, that's great now, isn't it?" And he says, "Maybe." And the point of it is that you never really know if something is bad or good because you don't know how that's going to affect the rest of your life. Like back, when I'm 2 days before graduating SEAL training, I've done 510 days of it. I've put my fucking heart and soul into this fucking thing, and I get kicked out because some fucking guy doesn't like me. And, it's kind of hard to look at that in any way other than, oh, well, that's fucking terrible. But as I'm older and I've experienced a lot, I can look at that and be like, well, half my class died, right, in combat. So I could have fucking died. If I would have became a Navy SEAL, then that might have just been like what I hung my hat on, and I was just like, for the rest of my life, I didn't feel like I really needed to fucking prove anything or excel or do anything because I've done this thing that everybody views as great. And, I don't know if I would have been as motivated. And so there's just like a lot of things like that in your life that in the short term, you look at them as being extreme negatives or, something that you even view as positive that, it's just hard to say until it's kind of like run its course and you see what effects that has later on down the line.
We're going to end it with some deep shit, Dan Bilzerian. I knew I'd get some deep shit out of you. I knew it was in there, God damn it. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. Really appreciate it. Obviously, Instagram, Dan, Twitter, the same, right? Thanks, brother. That was fun.
Good times.
Good night, everybody. Oh, we'll be back tomorrow with Jesse Ventura. Holy shit.
Cool.